A black silhouette stands on a high mountain, surrounded by lightning. At the base of the mountain there are warriors, whose gaze is directed at the black silhouette. A bald man in a vest shouts to the demon Chu that all his life he has humiliated others and done terrible things. He asks the demon if he thought he would die here on Mount Ham. A girl in a pink dress accuses the demon Chu of seducing her sister and pushing her to death. She threatens the demon that she will grind him into powder. The bearded man shouts that they have been hunting the demon for 3 months and now he has nowhere to run. Demon Chu stands against the background of red lightning. A man with a beard shouts that he will take revenge on the demon for his poor student. The bloody demon stands with an impassive gaze. He holds a bloody sword in his hand. Demon Chu turns back because someone called his name from there. A girl in white clothes and white hair flies towards him on a sword. She tells the demon that he has fallen so low. The girl's name is Kai Meng Dai and she is the master of the mountain of the Holy Land Tai Su. With a contemptuous look, she asks the demon if he regrets this. Demon Chu laughs with his mouth wide open. Looking at the girl, he said that he studied for a little less than 100 years and fought for his life. He asks who among his peers would dare to call himself invincible or indomitable. A girl in pink clothes, a bearded man and a bald man stand with weapons prepared for battle. The demon with a contemptuous look says that he only regrets the harshness of time. He says that if they hadn't bothered her for hundreds of years, no one would have been able to resist her. Kai Meng Dai looks at Demon Chu with disdain. The large sword moves towards the girl behind her back. Energy emanates from it. She tells the demon not to blame them for their cruelty. She commands to go on the attack and kill him. The great sword rushes straight at the demon while the rest of the warriors attack him from the ground. Chu makes seals on his hand. When he makes a fist and red energy appears underneath, a smile appears on his face. As a large sword rushes towards him, warriors shrouded in red, pink, blue, yellow and green energy simultaneously attack the demon. The warriors say the words, "Let divine energy pierce the heavens." They are inside huge human figures made of energy. The demon turns his attention to them. He screams loudly and a bright flash of red energy appears at the place where he was. Ultimately he lost. The Chu demon sword is broken. Its lower half falls to the ground. The battlefield is all in smoke. A girl in a pink dress sits on the ground and says that he destroyed himself. The bearded man, closing one eye, says that if he went to Tianyun to destroy monsters, he would become the greatest warrior of mankind. He adds that he is annoyed because of this. The warriors who defeated the demon go into the sunset. The demon thought, "Do you think I, Demon Chu, will just die like this?" Mountains of the Holy Lands of Tai Su. There are a total of 18 spiritual mountains located in the Tai Su Holy Lands. The masters of Tianzian, Yunzia and Tiangjian mountains are all recognized as top-level holy teachers. At the foot of the mountain there is an autumn forest. All the masters of the other mountains are recognized as lower-level holy teachers. A month later at Yunzia Mountain, red light shines in the palace, castle of the senior students. The main character with long black hair smiles while lying in bed. He says he's back. Demon Chu lifts his torso from the bed and says that before the relocation, he was a student at the university. He touches his forehead with an angry face and says that before today's rebirth, he prepared 3781 backup plans and 1201 rebirth methods. He doesn't understand how he even managed to die with such preparation. Demon Chu thought that this was the holy land of Tai Su. Demon Chu got out of bed and said that apparently fate brought him here. He receives a letter about the revival of the owner and a letter about updating the functionality of the system. He is given a choice of 2 options. The first option is called a natural-born villain and according to it, he will continue to receive rewards as long as he does evil. The second option is called the hidden villain and according to it, the hero decided to lie low to gain strength before doing evil. The main character thought that in his last life he chose the path of a born villain, did bad things and had fun. He thought with a thoughtful face that he didn't really like being the one everyone hated. Demon Chu thought that this time he would lead a hidden life. He smiles widely and lets out a short laugh. The main character thought that he would secretly become stronger and reveal himself to this world one more time. He imagines lying in bed among many half-naked women. Demon Chu thought about becoming a god's pet. He raises his index finger up and says loudly that he is choosing a hidden villain. The letter says that the path has been chosen. The download begins. It is more than half completed. The next letter says that the download is complete. The main character with a smile commands the system to open the profile. He thought that he would look at who he was reborn into this time. The interface window lists the character's characteristics. Chu notes that he is a close disciple of Yangzia Mountain, has normal talent and lacks darkness, and is also weaker than a chicken. With a dissatisfied face, he asks what this guy was doing before he arrived. Two men stand opposite each other and prepare to fight. 10 days ago, Man Chu-zu went to a duel against a disciple from Tianjian Mountain out of jealousy for a girl. Poor Chu was defeated in the arena and his cultivation was destroyed. The defeated Chu lies under the enemy's foot. The main character takes a cup of tea and calls the guy poor. He takes a meditation pose and loudly says that since he ended up in this guy's body, it's worth avenging him. Now he needs to create a stronger body. 1 hour passes. Chu has been persistently meditating all this time. With a smile on his face, he thinks that this body is too useless because he has no talent and is crippled. The main character's smile becomes wider. He says that he has a plan for such a case and laughs. Mount Yunzia. The mountains are surrounded by thick fog. 4 men gathered at a stone table. A man in dark clothes asks if they heard that the mountain master returned 3 days ago from hunting the Chu demon. The guy sitting opposite asks if he was killed. The man in the vest replies that among his peers, the demon Chu is invincible, but he is just a disciple of the lowest saint level and could not escape from the top 10 saints. The interlocutor replies that this is excellent work and such a terrible person like him had to be destroyed. The main character looks out from behind a tree and thought that they probably didn't realize that he was not only alive, but also standing behind them. He adds that if he can't beat him up, then he'll just join in because he's smart. The main character approaches 4 men. They call him a graduate from Chu-zu. They fold their hands respectfully and ask if Chu's wounds have healed. The main character shows his palm and says that he is fine. He goes up the stairs. One of the guys looks at the main character leaving. The guy with brown hair says that Chu-zu is apparently the namesake of the demon Chu. A guy in dark clothes asks if he has any secret connections with the demon. The guy in red clothes replies that he is overthinking things, as he would not allow his cultivation to be destroyed if that were the case. The guy in dark clothes agrees. A huge gate among many white trees. The main character shouts to the master that the student is asking for a meeting. The gates begin to open. The main character walks through a spacious hall. Kai Meng-dai sits at a small table and tells the main character that he was injured in battle 10 days ago, and now he comes to her. She asks if he wants to ask her for help with his studies. The main character folds his hands and bows to the master. The girl props up her chin and tells him about his low learning ability, and that he deserved this outcome because he likes to get into fights. She tells him that she cannot help and tells him to leave. The main character with a dissatisfied face loudly asks why he has such low learning ability, and how he can become strong without any resources. The master lies on the sofa, and streams of wind emanate from the main character. He shouts to the master that she gave all the resources to his elders and asks why she won't tell him how to become stronger when she gave everything to others. The woman slams her hand on the table and yells, "Outrageous." She gets up from the sofa and shouts to the main character that he lacks talent. He is lazy in studying and even dares to blame her. The main character asks with a grin if the reason why he is not given any resources is because he has the same name as the demon Chu. He assumes that she harbors a grudge against him and calls it funny. Kai Meng-dai looks at the main character with contempt. She flies up to the student and says that she was never angry with him. The master tells the protagonist to return while she looks for medicine for his wounds, and then he will continue his training. The main character with a malicious smile tells the master that she will help him now. The girl asks what he is talking about. The main character replies that he heard that the master has healing aromatic properties. He approaches her face and says that if he can study with her, his wounds will heal and his talent will increase. The girl's eyes are covered by the shadow of her hair. She asks the main character what he said. Chu takes her hand and presses himself against her, her face turning red with embarrassment. He says, "Master, please train with me." The girl removes her hand and calls the guy rebellious and seeking death because he mocks her in her own temple. She puts her hand forward and materializes a huge sword, and then shouts that she will break all his bones and expel him from her mountain. The main character puts his finger to his mouth. Red energy appears. Red streams of energy emanate from Chu. The master's large sword falls apart into small fragments. The girl moves away in the opposite direction from the main character. Kai Meng-dai fell to the floor. She thought how he did it. It's impossible. The master cannot release his higher powers. The protagonist with a gloating look on his face says, "Master, please." The girl with embarrassment on her face asks what he is doing with his master. The main character reaches out to Kai Meng-dai and asks her to teach him. The girl calls the student standing on her treacherous and asks why he does this to his master. She thinks that for some reason she cannot use her abilities, as if she were an ordinary person. Chu approaches the master and thinks that he sealed her skills. He touched her embarrassed face and thought that on that day when dozens of saints were chasing him, he secretly used the samsara blocking seal. Interface with the divine powers blocking seal of the mother and son of Samsara, capable of secretly sealing skills in the body of a selected female victim using the son's seal. Using mother's seal, you can completely seal the powers of other allies at any time. Number of uses 2 of 1. The main character, with a grin on his face, thought that under the influence of the divine power of the seal, any woman would unquestioningly listen to his orders. With a surprised look, he tells the girl that she is more than 1,000 years old, and her skin is still tender. The girl has beads of sweat on her face. She asks how dare he show such disrespect and whether he is afraid that she will kill him. Demon Chu mocks and tells her to kill him quickly, or she will only bark and not bite. Kai Meng Dai turns away from the main character. He comes close to her ear and asks what the master of the holy sword Liu Zi will do if he finds out that she has lost her powers, and adds that she once killed her father with one swing of the sword for which she can take revenge. The woman has a frightened face. She thought that there was no way she could let Liu Zi find out about this, because she would definitely kill her because she was crazy. Kai Meng Dai says that it doesn't matter to her whether he wants heavenly materials, earthly riches, or resources for developing abilities. She adds that she will give whatever he wants and says to take everything. The main character grabs the master by the shoulders. He says no 3 times and adds that he doesn't need any of this. He is about to say what he needs, but the girl interrupts him. She gets up and screams about nothing in the world and how he even dared to think about such a thing. The girl clenched her teeth. She says that the power of the highest saints is stored in her, and how can she submit to such a non-entity like him? Chu thought that he was not at enmity with her or the Tai Su Holy Land, but she still participated in the pursuit of him. With a malicious look, he asks if she now knows the feeling of fear. The main character materializes a book, holding the master by the shoulder. He says that he will leave this, an ancient development technique that may come in handy. The girl looks at the materialized book with admiration. She wonders where the student got such an ingenious technique, because traces of the heavenly Tao can be traced in it. Small vapors waft around the room. The main character asks what about this, and she tells him to get out. Shu pins Kai Meng Dai to the ground and tells her to just give him what he wants. The girl calls him a scoundrel. She opens her mouth in surprise. A system alert appears indicating that the owner has finally become a rebellious student. As good as a great villain, you get 1,000 points. The girl clenched her teeth, beads of sweat running down her face. A notification appears that the owner is paired with the immortal Kai Meng Dai, as a result of which his wounds have been restored and his skill position has been restored. The girl grabs the fabric with her hand. A notification appears with the owner's skill increasing by plus 103 times. The owner's skills reached plus 317. And the speed of skill development increased by 20 points. The master's training has advanced, the 8th stage of skill building. Several hours pass. The main character leaves the girl lying in bed with a smile on his face. According to the notification, the owner has level 9 skill building. Chu turns his head back and says a huge thank you to the master and adds that they will see each other. The girl with a sad expression on her face says that she has already given him what he wanted and asks him to remove the seal. The main character with a happy face replies that of course not. The main character turns around and leaves. Kai Meng Dai shouts at him that he is terrible and asks if he really wants to kill his master. The guy tells the master that he needs to hide his sealed powers well if she doesn't want people to find out about them. Chu is holding a purple ball in his hand. He says that she knows what this sealing crystal is used for. He lifts the ball into the air and turns his head back with a smile. The girl is surprised and asks him if he also saved the images. The main character holds a purple ball in the air and says that he will leave this as a souvenir. He comes down the stairs and says that for their continued cooperation, he warns them not to try to remove the seal. He adds that even if she searches the entire Tianxin continent, no one except her disciple will be able to remove the seal, unless it is the reincarnation of the Divine Emperor himself. He turns his gaze to her and says that as she knows, this world no longer has a Divine Emperor, and if her disciple dies, then she will live this life as an immortal until her life ends. The girl is trembling. The main character says that she can check if she doesn't believe it. He, clutching a purple ball in his hand, says that if he dies, the images from the crystal will scatter throughout the continent, and then what will the inhabitants of the Tianxin continent think of her? Kai Meng Dai, in a trembling voice, tells the main character that he will die in hellish pain. She, being at the opposite end of the room, shouts to him that he is a scoundrel and how such a non-entity, who crossed the boundaries of Daogong, was able to seal her powers. The main character looks at the night sky with crossed arms. He didn't think that he would come early in the morning and finish late at night. He goes down the steps and says that thanks to the help of the master, He was able to reach the 9th stage of mastering skills, and he needs to wait a little before crossing the boundaries of Lun High. The main character touches his chin and imagines a barrel with boards. He thinks that if the boundaries of Lun High are a barrel of water, then the process of development is the process of assembling a tree. He looks at his hand and thinks that the more stable the process of development, the better and stronger the boundaries of Lun High, and the results of the path of skill development do not stand still. The main character adds that in his past life he failed because he missed building boundaries, making his skills unstable in development. Chu makes a gloating expression on his face. He thought that if that was the case, then he should forcefully rebuild his foundations to create the best skills possible. He adds that by the time he faces a student whose skills are above his level, he will be able to win the fight. The main character stands in front of a city illuminated by red lanterns. He thinks that who knows, maybe those resources for founding skills that he hid here many years ago are still in this canyon. He wonders how he can leave the holy lands of Taisu if his resources are here. In front of the main character there is a shop for quickly hiring boats. He rests his chin and thinks it's a sign. The main character flies on a boat in the middle of the canyon. The main character looks forward intently while standing on a boat engulfed in red energy. Shu flew into a cave filled with water. He lands on a stone island. The main character gets off the boat. The guy bites his finger. Using blood, he draws a pentagram. A wooden chest appears from under the stones. Next to the shiny chest are several pouches. The main character sits down near the box and is glad that the resources are still here. The guy turns around. Someone behind him called his name and says that he didn't think that he would meet him again. A boat is flying towards the main character from behind, with 3 passengers on it. A man with a scar and long hair is a disciple of Tianjian Peak. Next to him is a girl with orange eyes and a man with bandages on his hands. He calls the main character stupid and is surprised that he did not die. He adds that he could not imagine that he would meet him 10 days later. The guy with the scar on his eye is called Jian Ming. He says with a smile on his face that Master Yunzia took very good care of him, since she gave him medicine and treasures for recovery. The main character with a straight face thinks that this guy just made fun of him, destroyed his skills 10 days ago, and then dared to come to him after that. The main character gets on his boat. The main character's boat rises into the air. He says he will take revenge later. Chu says that in 10 days in the arena they will fight again. Jianmeng put his hand to his ear and asks what the main character said, and then clarifies whether he heard correctly. Jianmeng's subordinates laugh. The girl notices that the main character said that he would wait for their leader in the arena. The man with bandages calls the main character stupid and mocks him for wanting to fight their main character again. The guy with the scar spreads his arms wide and creates sound waves that transmit sound over a distance of 1,000 li. He calls the main character useless and says that 10 days ago he almost killed him in front of Master Yunzia. He adds that since the main character is looking for death and challenges him to fight again after 10 days in the arena, let him not blame him for the outcome of the fight. City residents discuss the battle. One of them asks if Chu Zhu has gone crazy and why he came into the arena again. Another resident says that he thought that his Sea of Power was destroyed and does not understand how he will fight with Jian Meng, who is in the final stages of development. Another resident loudly says that in 10 days something interesting awaits them. The main character flies to the gate and tells the boat to stop. He approaches the gate and says that in the master's chambers the spiritual energy is very dense, and tonight he will study there. The main character is sure that the master will not mind, because what belongs to him is his by right. He adds that the master belongs to him, which means everything is hers and his too. Chu opens the gate and straightens his hair. He tells the master that her student has returned. Kai Meng Dai lies in his chambers and notices that the disobedient student has returned again at such a late hour. The master sits down and asks the main character what he is going to do. The main character approaches the girl and says that he wants to repeat what they did in the morning. The girl replies that he should only dare to touch her. He touches her chin and says he has something more interesting to do, then asks if she wants to take a look. Red talismans materialize around the main character. He says, "Formation leap." He points his hand towards the exit and the talismans move in this direction. They fly through the gate. Red talismans create a barrier of red energy. The girl asks if this is a legacy of primitive methods of formation. The main character replies that the master is quite knowledgeable, and he will give her up if he gets something in return. Kai Meng Dai turns his head and says he doesn't want to. The main character replies that if this is so, then he will go to study in silence. The main character takes an apple out of the bag. With a smile on his face, he asks the master to try it, and since she is now mortal, she needs to eat. The girl turns away with anger on her face. She says that it is all his fault and she will definitely kill him. The main character pushed the girl from behind with his hand. She falls to the ground. Chu says that the master is starting to annoy him again. The main character leaves and says that he has established a deadly formation in the next room and it is better for her not to go there without warning. He adds that her student still needs help improving his skills. He says that he will be very upset if she dies. The girl screams at his back that one day she will tear him into pieces. Meditation Hall. The main character is reading a materialized book. Item information: Rising Sheng Sheng Fruit. This is a valuable treasure for building the foundations. After consuming the fruit, one can build an ideal strong foundation for skills. After consumption, mortals immediately jump over the boundaries of Byung and increase their lifespan to 1,000 years. Grows at the bottom of the demonic abyss Tianku. 3 fruits ripen once every 10,000 years. The main character thinks that with this Dao Jing, which is revered as the best technique for forming the foundations of skills among heaven and earth, in combination with the stimulating fruit of Sheng Sheng and the system, will improve his skills. The main character touches the book. He thought that in the entire Tianxin continent, no one would have a better skill base except him. The main character takes the fruit and opens his mouth. He brings the fruit to his mouth and takes a bite. Heart of the fruit shines in the protagonist's stomach. Golden power circulates throughout Chu's body. He applies Dao Jing and rebuilds his foundations. Notifications appear about the decrease in the owner's skill levels. According to the latest notification, he is now a mortal master. The main character's eyes begin to glow red. A notification appears about the activation of the breakthrough, and the main character agrees. A notification appears that the owner has been detected using the strongest foundation building technique Dao Jing, and the consumption of breakthrough points has increased. Approximately 100 points per month. In the first month after absorbing the Sheng Sheng enhancing fruit, the Dao Jing technique used reached the first stage of breakthrough. This goes on until 9 months. In the 9th month after absorbing the Sheng Sheng enhancing fruit, the Dao Jing technique used reached the 9th stage of breakthrough. Orange energy appears around the meditating protagonist. The main character's eyes glow. He thought that everyone thought that 9 was the maximum number and stopped. The main character adds that, however, going beyond the norm is the path to perfection and when reborn there is a huge risk of dying. But it is as huge as the rewards. A lot of orange energy gathers around the main character, and he holds a piece of it in his hand. 7 days pass. Streams of energy envelop the main character. Shu opens his eyes. The orange energy around the main character dissipates. According to the new notification, the real breakthrough has ended and the owner has successfully completed 10 stages of foundation creation, spending 10 months and 1,000 breakthrough points, and now the owner has 0 points. Orange lightning strikes the palace. The main character shouts that he did it. Behind the mountain there is a hurricane, accompanied by orange lightning. There is a palace in the foreground. Tianxing Peak. A girl watches a hurricane with lightning. She is wearing a transparent scarf over her face. Her name is Lu Zhu, the master of Tianxing Peak. She thinks that this flow of spiritual energy is strong and suggests that Kai Mengdai has made a breakthrough. The main character is in the middle of a sea of energy in a meditation pose. He thought that now his physical body and collected spiritual energy had reached their maximum. He gathers energy in his hands and thinks that today he will free himself from all shackles by laying the strongest foundation for his skills. The main character stands up and clenches his hands into fists. A notification appears that the owner has made a breakthrough to the highest realm from the base of the 10th layer to the chakra stage of the sea realm. The main character with a smile on his face says that the reward mechanism is so easy to start and asks to quickly show the demon lord his reward. The main character swings his fist. He makes a strike towards the sea. The water disperses to the sides due to the force of the impact. Notification of reaching the maximum and activation of the reward mechanism. Drops of liquid fly near the main character after he hits. A notification appears about receiving an ancient primordial body. Shu asks with a surprised face, what is this, an ancient primordial body? The note states that the primitive body has unlimited resource consumption. A notification appears about the beginning of the merger of the host with the ancient primitive body. The protagonist with a perplexed face shouts, "Stop the merger." An alert informs you that the merge was successful. The main character holds his forehead and says that while going through breakthroughs it was difficult to improve his skills, and now this ancient primeval body, He calls this system stupid and asks how he should even play. An explanation from the system appears. On the plus side, this body is unmatched in terms of strength. This body developed easily and was sought after by all the great emperors. On the downside, the laws of heaven and earth have changed and therefore the body is no longer suitable for skills and begins to consume too many resources. To sum it up, in modern times, an ancient primitive body is equivalent to a useless body. The alert urges the owner not to hesitate and just do it. The next alert encourages you to steal resources if they are not there. The latest announcement is that while someone will spend resources on billions of breakthroughs, the owner will be able to gain greatness with the help of a primeval body. The main character sits with a bored look. Chu turns his head to the alerts and says that he's still in the clouds, because who knows how many breakthrough points I'll need before the next breakthrough. The main character opens his profile. His body is now marked as an ancient primordial body. He uses the dust purification technique and thinks that since he has merged with the ancient primordial body, he can continue to gnaw on the granite of development. The main character smiles ominously and says that fortunately he still has his precious master. Chu walks across the bridge. Friend Hull. Kai Meng Dai sits in his chambers. She eats an apple that she took from the bag. The main character asks if it tastes good to her, and the girl replies that it's even very good. She immediately gets angry as soon as she realizes who addressed her. She turns towards the main character and notices that it is he, the disobedient student. He approaches the master from behind and touches her shoulder. He asks if she missed her, because a couple of days have passed since their last meeting, but it seems as if several winters have passed. He sniffs the girl's neck. The main character asks Kai Meng Dai when was the last time she took a bath. The girl is very unhappy. She turns to him and replies that this is all because he forcibly occupied the back room and now she can't even wash herself. The main character takes her hand and says that it's all her student's fault, and since this happened, he asks to let his student prepare the bath himself. Shu takes the master by the hand and leads him along. The main character tells the master not to worry and that he will not do anything to her. The girl calls him terrible and asks what he is up to this time. Back Hull. The main character puts the girl on the floor. He pins her to the floor and says that the divine body definitely lives up to its name, because even after several days without a bath, it remains unsullied with white jade skin. A girl with a red face calls the main character a disobedient student. The main character presses his nose to Kai Meng Dai's hand. He says that things are really bad for her student and asks for the opportunity to report to her personally. The master turns away from the main character and says what an obnoxious student he is. She looks worried because she noticed that someone had come to the threshold of the hall. External courtyard. A man with white hair with a sword behind his back approaches the gate. The man is the Tiana master of Tiangxian Peak. He wonders if his younger sister Kai Meng Dai has come out of seclusion. The main character presses the girl to the floor. She says that today she will not be able to meet her brother in person. The main character receives a notification that he is a real harbinger of evil, and receives a mystical weapon as a reward, Bloody Sword of Azur. Tiana holds a jug in his hand and tells his younger sister that he has a specially made healing medicine from Tiang's younger brother from the Alchemy Cauldron Peak and it will help restore the wounds. A notification appears about interaction with the Divine Fragrant Body, Development Aptitude plus 100. The girl crawls on the floor and says that she needs to rest for a couple of days. The brother with a frustrated face replies, okay. The brother standing at the gate says that he wanted to ask if the younger sister knows that her disciple Chu Zhu and Jan Meng from Tianjing Peak decided to duel again. He continues that he heard that his sister's disciple is lazy and has low talent, and therefore he is worried that the disciple's loss will affect the honor of Yunzia Peak. The girl, chained to the floor, says that she knows about this event, but will not interfere in its affairs, so let her participate. A notification appears stating that the owner's talent has reached 617, and the speed of skill development has increased to lap 25. Tiana plays the flute and says that he's probably making too much noise. He adds that the name of this tune is Courtship of the Phoenix and he got the inspiration when he watched the moon for several nights in a row, and then says that this tune is for his sister. The girl lies next to Chu and calls him a terrible student. She thought about the fact that a student was disturbing her while she was talking to her brother. The main character says that Master Tiana plays the violin excellently, and he already likes her brother. Kai Meng Dai asks the main character to stop talking. The main character with an angry face asks if the girl will mind if he takes away her resources for development. A notification appears about receiving 500 breakthrough points as a reward. The girl is sitting on the floor. In front of her is a cloth with various medicines. The main character says that these are all drugs of the 4th layer, and only a few of them are of the 5th. The master replies that there is nothing more. She says that this is all the treasure she can get from the storage ring until he unseals it. The main character puts the medicine in a bag and leaves. He says that at least there is a top-level 4,000 spirit stone, and then thanks the master. The girl with a sad face thought that perhaps she should turn to the sacred master for help and perhaps she would help remove the seal. Kai Mengdai had beads of sweat on her face. She thought that if she didn't succeed and her student felt it, he would run away. The girl hits the floor with her fist and thinks that she will really remain mortal and die of old age. The master takes out a mask from his clothes. She thinks about how good it is that she hid the mask before the main character sealed its power. The girl mentally thanks the main character for not searching her body, because otherwise he would have taken this bronze fox mask. The fox mask covers half of the face. Kai Mengdai says that she may not be able to restore her skills, but with this mask she can hide the presence of any cultivator. She adds that as long as she avoids direct contact with people, no one will know that her skills are sealed and at least not on her enemies will attack. The master looks at the front of the mask and thinks that the demon Chu dropped this mask when she was chasing him. The girl adds that what a pity, the main character could have taken over the whole world, and if he had developed correctly, he would not have ended up like this. The girl puts on a mask and thinks that this is already in the past in any case, and she needs to figure out how to get rid of the imprisonment of this rebellious student so as not to be under his control forever. The main character felt something. Chu Zeu's room. He presses his finger to his chin and thinks that the master has finally put on the bronze fox mask and now his efforts are not in vain. He imagines Kai Mengdai in a fox mask and with a smile on his face thinks about how he can now calmly develop in the sacred lands of Taisu. The main character holds in his hands a golden red sword, a mystical sword of blue blood. He thought that the system's reward was not the best, but it was not that bad. Chu adds that there are 3 days left before the duel and therefore he now needs to develop hard. He raises his hand at chest level and raises 2 fingers up. The protagonist says, "Development of the sword." His image of red energy flies on a mystical sword of blue blood. The notification indicates that the owner is comprehending states and is looking for a purpose. The image of the main character with shining light eyes flies among the trees. It flies 800, 1000, 1500 and 2000 meters. It flies vertically upward, flying 99 meters. The main character notices something. Red-yellow rays emanate from the sky. Chu wonders if this is the purpose of the sword. He raises 2 fingers up at chest level and loudly says that he will comprehend the purpose of the sword. From the beam, red energy is directed towards the main character. A beam of energy is directed at his forehead. He opens his shining eyes. A mark appears on his forehead. The notification congratulates the owner on a successful search for its purpose and informs that one of the 5 main purposes of the sword is divine punishment of the sword. Elemental wind. The main character places his hands on his belt and mentions the purpose of divine punishment, and then adds that this purpose suits his style. The protagonist commands the sword to send him back to the room so that he can achieve a breakthrough in the purpose of his sword, since he will be able to end the duel with 1 blow if he achieves a breakthrough. Sacred lands of Taisu, Taisu Peak. Against the backdrop of a mountain with a settlement, a ray emanating from the sky can be seen. The girl with blue hair says that just now someone was looking for the purpose of the sword in the divine lands. Her name is Taisu Zai. She is the sacred master of the land of Taisu. She watches the red beam. The girl with a surprised look says that the stranger has reached 99 meters and asks how this is possible. She takes off and says that in 30,000 years, only the god of the sword, the emperor of the false kingdom from the kingdom of boundless blades, was able to reach such heights. She asks if it could be that someone at the level of a sword god appeared in the sacred lands of Taisu. 3 days pass. Tangsheng Peak, Duel Arena. The stairs lead to a circular area surrounded by columns. Many spectators surrounded the battle area. A yawning man with flowing dark hair stands next to Jan Meng. His name is Jan Lingyun and he is the managing disciple of Tangjian Peak. Jan Meng turns his gaze towards the guy next to him and tells him that he heard that he recently made a breakthrough and crossed into the realm of divine powers. He calls this news good. The guy replies that this is just the realm of divine powers, nothing special. He turns his gaze to the right, towards the girl with white hair. Jan Lingyun tells her that he never thought that he would see her here and assumed that she would not come to such a place. Her name is Zhu Tangjian and she is the managing disciple of Tangjian Peak. She replies that it happened because of her, so she came to see it anyway, and adds that she doesn't want to see Chu Zhu die since she knows him. Jan Lingyun thought with a gloomy face what she saw in this loser. Jan Meng, with a smile on his face, calls the girl little sister and says that she cannot save someone who seeks death. The guy in the background joins the dialogue and shows his finger and says that competing with Jan Meng's brother with his worm level of strength is crazy. The bald viewer assumes that the main character was scared because he still hasn't appeared. The spectator in the black shirt says that he doesn't understand how Peak Yunzi allows such a stupid person to be a younger brother. A pink-haired girl appears. Her name is Tao Yao, the fifth sister of Yunzi Peak. With an embittered face, she asks if their master really taught them to praise the strong, scold the weak, and enjoy ridicule of others. The spectator in the black shirt says that this is Tao Yao, the fifth sister of Yunzi Peak. The bald man adds that she also came to watch the fight. The spectators behind Tao Yao say her name with joy in their faces. The main character flies up on his boat. The spectator in a black shirt says that Chu Zhu has arrived. The main character stands with a calm face, arms crossed behind his back. Tao Yao runs up to the main character, calling him Big Brother. He calls her little sister and says that she also came. The main character strokes the girl. With a reddened face, she says that as long as she is here, no one will hurt him. The guy tells her not to worry and that he has everything under control. Tao Yao says that 20 days ago she cultivated diligently, and because of it, her older brother suffered, as a result of which she feels guilty. The main character closes his eyes and with a smile on his face replied that everything is fine with him and it is not her fault. Chu Zhu turns his gaze. He looks at Zhu Tianjian and wonders if this is the girl Jan Meng is in love with. The main character touches her chin and thinks that she has a good figure, but her skills are mediocre. Zhu Tianjian thought that she felt as if Chu Zhu had become a completely different person. Jan Meng, with a gloating face calling Jan Lingyun elder brother, asks if he should still use the killing wind when Tao Yao is here. His older brother replies that why not, since this is a duel, as if Tao Yao is capable of shaking the heavens alone. He tells him to kill him. Jan Meng agrees and says that he can handle him. He walks towards the main character and invites the main character to enter the arena since he came here, and then tells him not to waste his time as he needs to get back to training. The main character, with a smile on his face, says that he wants to say something before they start. Tianxing Peak, the arena of life and death. The area around the arena becomes busier. The main character shows a green bottle and, addressing the crowd, says that today is a rare event where they all came together to watch the fight. But what kind of fight is it without a prize? He adds that he has 6 bottles of level 7 mystical medicine and offers to make a bet. The main character smiles evilly. The alert informs you that you have received 300 breakthrough points due to the fact that the main character makes a fool of himself in order to profit from other people's resources. The man in the black shirt says that this is really the legendary mystical medicine of the 7th level. The bald man, looking at the guy next to him, says that he heard that taking this medicine increases the speed of comprehending the divine skill, and also greatly increases the chance of achieving the divine realm and breaking through to the lower holy realm. Jan Lingyun asks what conditions Chu puts forward and thinks that he just reached the divine realm a few days ago, and he needs this medicine that the main character brought to him on a silver platter. Tao Yao thinks that if the master finds out about this dispute, he will be very angry. The main character touches his chin and, looking at the bottle, says that it seems they don't fully understand the value of this medicine. He turns to Elder Tianxing and asks what he knows. Elder Tianxing is surprised. He coughs and says that this medicine is in small size and if it were sold at auction, it would be worth at least 1,000,000 high stacks of spirit stones, and then adds that 6 medicines are equal to 6,000,000 high stacks of spirit stones. Jan Lingyun crosses his arms and thinks about what he should bet, which would be equivalent to the price of 6,000,000 tall stacks of spirit stones. The main character takes the bottle and spreads his arms wide. He tells everyone not to be nervous and adds that if one person can't afford it, they can join forces because all they have to do is split the price according to their savings at the end of the match. The bald man and the man in the black shirt look at each other and say that they can join forces. The main character points to the cloth where people put their wealth. The bald man says that he is in business and puts down the bag. The guy in the black shirt also agrees. Another viewer says he is betting on Chu Zhu to lose. Another viewer claims that the main character will lose. The main character tells them not to rush and adds that they still have time to think. The main character puts the bottle on the suitcase and thought that, as expected, everyone was betting on him to lose. Elder Tianxing thinks there are a lot of good things here. Tianxing closes his eyes. The main character announces that the dispute has taken place, But for now the judge will be the elder of Tianxing Peak and no one will dare to refute the judge's decision. The main character jumps into the arena directly towards Jan Meng. He lands opposite his enemy. Jan Meng stands over the main character and calling him stupid says that he has finally entered the ring. The main character's eyes glow red. He says that since they are in the arena they need to stop talking. Elder Tianxing announces the start of the duel. A large golden barrier of energy appears. Jan Lingyun thought with an evil smile that this has begun. Jan Meng takes a fighting stance and is enveloped in purple energy. He thought that he was now at the peak of the 9th stage of the Sea of Consciousness realm and was fighting with stupid Chu, who was only at the 4th stage of the Sea of Consciousness realm. His pupils glow yellow. He thought it was as simple as swatting a mosquito. Jan Meng takes a step and the floor under his foot collapses. He makes a dash towards the main character. A man with a sword swings and kicks the main character. The main character dodges the blow of his enemy. The main character pushes off the ground using red energy. He retreats in the opposite direction from his enemy. Jan Meng looks menacingly at the main character and says that he is not bad. He shouts how he likes this and concentrates violet energy, materializing swords. Jan Meng sends 3 swords towards Chu and shouts at him to dodge if he can. The swords almost reach the main character. He dodges them at the last moment. Swords stick into the ground. Beads of sweat appear at Tao Yao. She says that her elder brother was really blessed by heaven. A spectator in a brown robe next to her says that Jan Meng does not hold back at all. All his attacks are fatal. The guy in dark clothes says that if Chu Zhu hesitates a little, he will eventually lose, so he bets that it will happen. The guy in the brown robe replies that Chu Zhu has no chance. Jan Meng pushes off the ground and makes a dash towards the main character. The main character dodges another blow from the enemy. He shows a stupid expression as he taunts his enemy and tells him to hit him if he can. The protagonist's opponent is angry. He thought that this guy was too resourceful and could not continue like this. Jan Meng takes out his sword from behind his back, which glows with purple light. He thought that he would quickly kill the main character. The enemy of the main character makes a dash with a sword in his hand towards the main character. Jan Meng pierces the main character. Black and purple energy is directed towards him. Chu watches his enemy's attack and thinks that he wants to win with his sword breath. The main character takes his sword out of its sheath and thought it was time to test out a new weapon. The main character turns in the opposite direction from the enemy. His sword is shrouded in red energy. The protagonist's enemy is surprised. The main character jumps away from his enemy while his back is turned. Jan Meng thinks that this stupid person has finally opened up and, swinging his leg, tells the main character to die. Chu blocks the blow with his hand. A smile appears on his face. He thought that his enemy had fallen for it. The main character tightly grabs the sword and thinks that even though his primitive body is not yet developed, in close combat he has no equal in the same kingdoms. He makes a sweeping strike at his enemy. The defeated Jan Meng says that this cannot happen. He falls to the ground, his sword sticking into the ground nearby. The audience is shocked by what just happened. Jian Lingyun made an angry expression. Viewers see how the main character defeated his opponent on the battlefield under the dome. Some of the spectators do not believe that Jan Meng lost. The bald spectator says that the main character, being at the 4th stage in the Kingdom of the Ocean of Consciousness, defeated the one who is at the peak of the Kingdom of the Ocean of Consciousness. The guy in the black shirt says whether Chu Zhu cultivation was destroyed 20 days ago. Elder Tianxing opens the scroll and declares the protagonist the winner in the arena of life and death. Plenty of riches lie at stake. One of the spectators is crying because he lost his rank 3000 spirit stone. Another spectator grabs his head and says that he has lost his mystical weapon. Another viewer cries and shouts that he has lost a lot and now will never participate in disputes again. Chu suddenly coughs up blood. He leans on his sword and holds his chest. Tao Yao runs up to the main character. She asks her brother how he is. The main character, with his eyes closed, asks for help in reaching the places of the true disciples. She agrees to help. The main character thinks that since he is playing the role of a stupid person praying to them, he needs to play the role to the end and it is impossible for them to notice something suspicious in his behavior. He smiles evilly and mentally apologizes for the fact that the things present are now his. Jan Lingyun watches the main character and his sister. He smiles and notes that the main character is injured, and then adds that he will make sure that the main character leaves today with nothing. He tells his subordinate Cheng Linfei that it is his turn now. The subordinate folds his hands in approval. He tells the departing protagonist to wait. Cheng Linfei flies up on his blue energy sword and asks the main character if he wants to fight. Tao Yao, with an angry expression on his face, asks what he is even thinking, challenging the wounded protagonist to a fight. Jan Lingyun raises his hand and says that she has no right to decide, because no one can avoid the offer of a fight if he has come to the arena of life and death. He adds that Chu Zhu took so many resources in one match, and he could have just been cheated. He is sure that everyone now doubts the justice of the protagonist's victory. Jan Lingyun smiles and says that now that there is a chance, why not let the main character fight Cheng Linfei, and if he wins again, then everyone will agree with the victory. He closes his eyes and asks if the main character accepts the argument and adds that the elder brother of Yun Ziapeak will not dare to run away. The main character looks at Jan Lingyun with contempt and thinks that he is starting to piss him off. Chu says that now he is injured and is only at the 4th stage of the Ocean of Consciousness realm, and fighting with someone at the 1st stage of the Divine Bridge realm is too risky, and therefore he proposes to increase the bet in the dispute by another 30%. A notification appears about receiving 200 breakthrough points for greed. Jan Lingyun smiles maliciously and agrees. He thought that, as expected, weaklings are always greedy and only he himself will be to blame for his death. Zhu Tianjian touches his temple and thinks that Chu Zhu doesn't know when to stop. The main character beats the gong and announces that he will fight again in the arena of life and death and asks if those present want their treasures back. He adds that one more round, one more chance to become rich. Those present run up to the fabric with bets. One of the participants shouts that this time Chu Zhu will fight with a student from the Burgundy Bridge Kingdom and it is no longer possible to win. Another participant shouts that the main character is too weak because he just finished the fight. Another participant shouts that he is betting everything on the loss of the main character. The main character wipes the blood from his face and thinks that they will all become poorer. Elder Tiangxing raises his hand and says that in the arena of life and death, Chu Zhu is against Cheng Linfei, and announces the beginning. A golden dome appears. Tao Yao asks if her older brother can win. The main character smiles and tells her not to worry. Cheng Linfei says with a straight face that he didn't want to fight him, but he has his own reasons. The main character smiles and asks what the reasons are. The protagonist's opponent replies that his younger sister was seriously injured on a mission, and in order to save her life, he needs to get a very rare treasure that his older brother Jan Lingyun has. He takes out his sword from behind his back and says that for the sake of his younger sister, he needs to carry out the order and now he can only ask for forgiveness. He adds that the main character shouldn't blame him since swords don't have eyes. Chu replies that this story is heartbreaking. The main character smiles and says that this is funny and adds that they cannot talk about death in the arena of life and death. He quickly moves behind his enemy and swings his red sword. The main character throws a punch, but Cheng Linfei blocks it. The enemy shouts at the main character that he attacked from behind. Chu, with a smile on his face, swings his sword and says that he will take care of his little sister and send him to rest in peace. The main character stabs the opponent with his sword. He removes his sword from the enemy's body. He concentrates orange energy in his hand and prepares to attack the enemy with it. Cheng Linfei flies far forward due to the destructive force of the blow. He hits the arena's golden barrier. His face looks lifeless. He slides down the barrier. The main character tells the enemy that he died because he talked too much. He sheaths his sword and says that he hates it when people talk to no avail. The audience is shocked by what is happening. Zhu Tianjian's face turned red. The bald man says that Chu Zhu is only at the 4th stage of the Ocean of Consciousness and was able to defeat Chen Yunfei in battle. The man in the black shirt says that this technique that the main character just used is a mystical level shadow concealment technique. He adds that the main character left 7 shadows, which means that he has mastered the technique to perfection. One of the spectators grabs his head and shouts that this time he really lost everything he had. Another spectator, with a look of despair on his face, shouts that he bet 10,000 top-tier spirit stones and asks how he could lose them all. Tao Yao cuddles with the main character's hand and calls his brother cool. The main character replies that it's nothing. He did what he should have done. Chu collects wealth and says this is a wonderful day. The audience looks at the main character with contempt. He says that his treasury is full and asks if his younger sister has a free one. She throws a pink bag to the main character, and he thanks her with a happy face. The girl tells the main character to use it as much as he wants and not be shy. The main character holds a green capsule in his hand and says that this is a top-level heavenly capsule and asks those present if they want it. The bald spectator shouts asking for mercy on them. Another guy shouts that the main character came here for a fight, not for treasures. The main character makes a gesture calling for a boat and says that if this is the case, then he's off. A boat shrouded in red energy appears in front of the main character. A notification appears that the owner is truly terrible and ruthless, for which he receives a reward of 200 breakthrough points. Tao Yao presses his hands to his chest and tells the main character that he angered Jan Lingyun today. The girl adds that he is a cruel person and the main character better be careful. In the background of the main character on the boat, the silhouette of Jan Lingyun appears with a contemptuous expression on his face. Chu Zhu's room. The main character stands in front of his treasures and thinks that he has one items worth 1,600,000 spirit stones. He wonders how many breakthrough points he will earn. Chu takes the sword in his hand. He presses the exchange button in the interface. The sword disappears and the main character receives 1 breakthrough point. The main character shouts that this cannot happen and suggests that this is a mistake. He adds that last time he got 5 breakthrough points when he traded for mortal equipment, then asks why he got 1 point now. A notification appears that says that as the owner's ascension increases, the quality of the equipment consumed also increases, but breakthrough points also depend on the quality. The alert apologizes if the owner wants to get more breakthrough points using low-quality items. The main character with an embittered face looks at the notification where it is written about the impossibility of exchanging spiritual stones for breakthrough points due to the ratio of roots and points. Chu props up his chin and says that if this is the case, he will send the cheap things to Jubao Peak and exchange the expensive things. He believes that this is the only way he will get the most benefit. The main character noticed something. He turns around because he sensed that the fox mask had been used. He wonders who the master is talking to. Tai Su Peak. Kai Meng Dai goes after Tai Su Zai and asks how this is possible, because her student has no talent at all, not to mention a destiny, because even entering the lands of beginnings was impossible for him. Tai Su Zai says that she saw everything with her own eyes that night. She turns to the master and asks if her student has changed lately. The master asks if Tai Su Zai suggests that the main character is possessed. She replies that she thought about it, but quickly discarded such a thought. She says that you need to be at the minimum stage of development of the lower sacred realm in order to possess someone, and in order to achieve it, you need to have your own destiny. She adds that everyone can set foot on the lands of beginnings only once in their life, and even those who possess the souls of others cannot break this sacred rule, and therefore she thinks that he is not possessed. Kai Meng Dai replies that if her disciple is not possessed, then how could he get deep into the lands of beginnings? Tai Su Zai suggests that he received some incredible abilities. She tells the master that she must train this student well and perhaps their sacred land of Tai Su will have a future with a new emperor, the sword deity. The master responds positively to the instruction. She thinks about training and whether that means she needs to continue being a litter to gain experience. The main character stands at the gate and thinks that since Tai Su Zai herself is asking for this, they will have to practice hard again. Kai Meng Dai room. Chu approaches the master's chambers. The girl is dressed in a black and red robe. The main character says that her student came for knowledge. The girl props her head up with her hand and asks why he hid this from her. He asks what he was hiding. The master replies that she is talking about the fact that the protagonist has found the purpose of the primeval sword. Chu puts his hand on the girl's belt and asks how she knew about this. The girl takes his hand and says that the Divine Master is one of the strongest cultivators of the Holy Realm, controlling the rules of measurement, and therefore it is not so easy to hide from her what he did while he was looking for the purpose of the sword. The main character asks if the Holy Lands really decided to sacrifice their resources for the sake of such a genius as him. The girl says that there are no free resources in the sacred lands of Tai Su, and even if he were the reincarnation of an ancient emperor, he would have to achieve them on his own, since a flower grown in a greenhouse cannot be compared with a storm. He agrees with the master. The main character approaches the girl's face and asks if he is here to obtain resources with his own strength. Kai Meng Dai replies that not today. The main character touches the master's face and says that since he is here and still has nothing to do, he would like her to help him raise the level. Chu clings to the master. The main character receives a notification that he has received a reward in the form of a jug of crane poison, 6th grade. Drops of sweat appear on the master's face, and notifications appear about increasing the ascension talent by +100. 6 hours pass. The main character gets up from his chambers. He receives a notification that he has reached Divine Rank 917 and his ascension speed has increased by 31 times. The notification informs that the owner's ascension has improved, and only a little remains to the 5th level of the Ocean of Consciousness. The main character looks at the master and thinks that the effect is getting worse and notes that the body of divine fragrance cannot be so weak. He adds that maybe this is due to the fact that the master's powers are sealed and maybe he should try to remove the seal from her next time. The main character props up his chin and concludes that this is too dangerous. He bows a little to the master and then says that he has brought too many problems and is now leaving. The girl thought that she would grind the main character into powder. Jubao Peak, mountains against the night sky. Jubao Tower, a palace of unprecedented beauty. The main character climbs the stairs. One of the guards asks if this is the senior disciple of Yangzia Peak. Shu goes inside. One of the townspeople says that he heard how this guy won 2 fights in a row in the arena of life and death. A girl with a red belt tied in a bow says that she, Jubao's student, Chu Zio-ran, greets the elder Chu Zhu. The main character touches the girl's chin. She says that Senior Chu Zhu must have come here to sell things. The main character asks how the younger girl knows that he wants to sell things. The girl replies that today the elder showed his strength in the arena of life and death and won countless spiritual stones, and the news about this spread throughout all the divine lands. She adds that now that he has come to Jubao Peak, it is easy to guess that he came to sell stones. The girl asks the main character to follow her and invites him to pass. The main character looks at the back of Chu Zio-ran and thinks that he just appeared in front of the Jubao Tower, and she already so sympathetically led him inside. He thinks about why she is so nice to him. The main character takes a plant from the shelf. It seems strange to the girl that the main character has only been doing since entering the tower, playing with things and not buying anything. She wonders what he's up to. The main character looks at the grass in his hands and thought that the thing from the mortal realm costs 50 high-grade spiritual stones, and from this you can only earn 2 breakthrough points. He adds that a mortal herb at the same price as 10 second-grade spiritual pills can be exchanged for 15 points. He wonders if it could be that the higher the spiritual energy of an item, the more breakthrough points he will receive. Shu thought that if he exchanged the thing that had the largest amount of spiritual energy in the system, he would be overwhelmed with breakthrough points. The notification calls the main character a genius and asks how he could come up with such cruelty. It informs the hero about receiving the Earth-class flying boat Xianying Suo. The notification calls the main character's ideas creative, but says that he cannot exchange someone else's soul for breakthrough points. The main character thought what a pity. The girl had sweat on her face because it seemed to her that the flame of a killer lit up in his eyes. The main character turns around and tells Chu Zio-ran that he would like to buy pills to restore spiritual energy and medicine for ascension. He asks her to bring as much as the price of 15 million spiritual stones. The girl is surprised and wonders why he needs so many medications for recovery. She says that she will bring it now, and the main hero thanks her. The girl leaves, and the main character thinks that he still has a few spiritual stones left. He decides to see if there is anything here that might be useful to him. The main character notices something. His mark on his forehead begins to glow. He notices a piece of bronze lying on the shelf and wonders why the purpose of his primordial sword reacts to this unidentified piece of bronze. Chu wonders what is hidden in this piece of bronze. He noticed that this piece of bronze attracted him to the purpose of the sword. The girl returns and tells the main character that what he wanted is already ready and invites him to pick them up. The protagonist holds a piece of bronze in his hand and says, "Okay." He asks Chu Zio-ran how much this piece of bronze costs and says that he wants to buy it. The girl replies that this is useless garbage that he can just take away. The main character puts the bag in the girl's hand. She is surprised, and the main character says that these are hundreds of high-grade spiritual stones and adds that he does not like to remain in debt. The main character says, "Come on, let's go downstairs." The girl tells him to wait. He asks what she wants to tell him. She says that she would like to ask him for help. The girl's gaze is directed downwards. The main character thought that she had an errand for him. He and the girl sat down at the table. The main character asks what the younger one wanted from him. He says that she may not continue if the assignment is too complex. The girl holds onto the main character's shoulder. She asks Chu if he knows about the Tai-Su Divine Tower, and he replies that of course he does. He says that since the bloody imperial weapons belonging to Emperor Tai-Su can both wound and protect, this tower has everything. He adds that the weapons were hidden at Tai-Su Peak after the death of the emperor, and these lands not only protect the Tai-Su clan's sacred lands, but are also an excellent place for students to train. A lot of people are drawn to the guy with the chest on the mountain. The main character continues that the tests of the tower test the students' combat abilities, talents, achievements, and stamina. The higher you climb, the more rewards you will receive. The girl, clinging to the main character, says that this time her request is related to the Divine Tai-Su Tower. She asks if elder brother knows that one of the 3 secret realms of the Tai-Su sacred lands, the Hongyao secret lands, will open this month. The main character replies that he was busy climbing and did not follow the news, but he heard about the secret kingdom of Hongyao and notes that this place is good for mining treasures. The girl calls the main character Big Brother and says that in order to penetrate the secret kingdom of Hongyao, he needs to get into the Taisu Divine Tower and participate in the tests. The girl shows 3 fingers and says that the first test involves 300 students who are at the 3rd level of the Ocean of Consciousness, and the first 17 students who are on the border of the Divine Kingdom will have the opportunity to enter the secret kingdom. She adds that among the disciples in their kingdom, there are no worthy rivals for Big Brother Chu, and he will definitely be among those 300 disciples if he enters the tower. The girl approaches the protagonist's face. She asks the main character if he can help her, speaking into his ear. The main character looks into the girl's face and opens his mouth to answer. Chu Zhu's room. A hurricane is gathering over the palace. The main character meditates over the Golden Sea. According to the alerts, the main character reaches the 10th level of the Ocean of Consciousness realm. He asks the system to show the conditions for a breakthrough to the 10th level of the Kingdom of the Ocean of Consciousness. The system responds that it was not possible to find the owner's item needed to break through to the 10th level of the Kingdom of the Ocean of Consciousness. The notifications say that the owner failed to make a breakthrough, and for a breakthrough it is necessary to find Panacea milk, the divine flower Puthai, and the fruit of the soul of the child of the monster. The protagonist's meditation dissipates. He thought that all 3 were divine level treasures. He leans on his leg and adds that they are so rare that only luck will help him in this matter. Chu notes that there will be difficulties with the purchase because the prices will be sky high and he cannot simply steal them, and without a breakthrough he does not have enough strength to do this. The main character came up with something. He remembers how Chu Zio-ran said that one disciple took half of the child's monster's soul fruit from the secret realm of Hongyao. The main character props up his chin and with a smile on his face says that it's time to visit the divine Taisu Tower. 3 days pass. Taisu Peak. Many flying boats are flying towards a high tower. The silhouette of a girl announces to the crowd that once every 30 years, during the procession for accepting the disciples, it is very noisy here, and she wonders if any of them will be able to break the record this time. It is written on the stone that the peak of Dao Yun, the direct disciple of Su Ruzu, entered the Ocean of Consciousness, having passed 78 levels, mastering the 7th place in the Ocean of Consciousness. Divine talent, mediocre, divine perception, high, fortitude, low divine combat. The girl says that the student got into the top 10 being in the realm of the Ocean of Consciousness. There are 2 elders of Taisu Peak standing at the tower, an old man and a girl named Mo Fei Yong. The girl asks the old man who will perform well in his opinion. The elder replies that this is Yifan because he has high potential, excellent foundations, perfect talent, as well as fortitude and luck. The girl crosses her arms and says that Yifan is a worthy candidate. The boats are getting closer and closer to the area near the tower, but the main character is flying faster. Mo Fei Yong asks what this incredible speed is and who it is. The old man strokes his beard. He says that this is a direct senior disciple of Yunzia Peak. The main character flies holding the sheath of his sword. He jumps off the boat. The black-haired girl tells the girl in the blue dress that she did a good job and the master is proud of her. The girl in the blue dress says that she really managed to do it, for which she is congratulated. The girl in the blue dress is called Su Rusu and she is a direct disciple of Dao Yun Peak. The guy with blue eyes clenches his fist and says that he, too, must get into the top 10 in the Ocean of Consciousness realm and ring the bell of the Taisu Tower. The guy's name is Yifan and he is a direct disciple of Tiangjian Peak. The main character comes up from behind and asks him who he is. Yifan introduces himself and asks the main character if he is the senior disciple of Yunzia Peak. The main character thought that his name meant main character. The main character looks at the guy and thinks that he has extraordinary luck and a special aura emanates from him, which is why you should be on your guard. The main character says that he is glad to meet you. He asks if the interlocutor has heard about him. Yifan replies that of course he heard, since he won a bunch of spiritual stones at Tiangjian Peak. The main character says that these are trifles, and his interlocutor thought that Chu Zhu was so kind and polite. Yifan thought that the main character would be a great friend. The main character smiles with his eyes closed and thinks that this guy has a simple character, ideal for his friend. He adds that these are the very type of people from whom all the luck can be sucked out. It is written on the stone that the test for the main character begins. The main character and his interlocutor bow slightly to each other. The main character says that it is his turn to take the test and says goodbye to Yifan, who wishes him good luck. Chu climbs the stairs to the gate. He opened the gate and went inside. Taisu Divine Tower, 1st floor. The main character goes deep into the cave, where red eyes are visible in the darkness. Wolves rise towards the main character. They look very aggressive and their teeth are very sharp. Chu takes his sword out of its sheath and says that only a couple of puppies came to meet him. The wolves jump on the main character, who has taken a fighting stance. He takes a step forward. The main character makes a long and lightning-fast series of blows, hitting all the wolves in turn. The mark on his forehead began to glow. He thought that he had dealt with a couple of monsters from the realm of the Ocean of Consciousness. Taisu Divine Tower, 67th floor. The main character walks along the green grass towards a flying pink-haired girl with long animal ears. The girl hugs the main character to herself and says that he will feel indescribable bliss if he stays with her. Chu cuts her throat and says that if she tried to seduce him, then she won't succeed. Taisu Divine Tower, 68th floor. The main character approaches 4 lights. Among them are green, golden, blue, and red. An old man with a ghostly tiger behind him, a muscular man with a hammer, as well as a girl in red and white clothes with a spear, and a guy with 2 daggers and a hood appear before the main character. The main character makes a dash towards the opponents and asks if these 4 are the last guardians of the kingdom of the Ocean of Consciousness. He quickly defeats all 4 guards, leaving red lines of energy behind his attacks. Taisu Divine Tower, 98th floor. The main character walks along a red field towards the silhouette of a girl. This is Taisu Zai with a sword in his hand. She was at the peak of the 9th level of the Ocean of Consciousness realm. The main character thought that she had the same kingdom as his, but he could not understand how strong she was. The main character puts his sword on his shoulder and asks if she is the current emperor of Taisu. The girl doesn't answer. The main character smiles and says that this is really a primitive emperor, and laughs. Black and red energy gathers around the main character when he makes a dash towards the enemy. He encourages her to fight him. The girl blocks the main character's blow. He kicks the side of her head and screams at her to die. She stops the blow with her hand, streams of wind gathering around her. The girl pushes Chu away with streams of wind and he is pushed away. The main character gets to his feet and thinks that even with the power of the primordial holy body, he cannot touch the Taisu Zai of the same realm. Streams of wind come from the girl's hand. The main character thought that this made no sense. The girl pushes off the ground and flies straight at the main character. Chu stops her strike with his palm. Blue circles emanate from the impact site. The main character looks anxious. Beads of sweat appear on his face. The girl looks at the main character in surprise and concentrates blue energy in her free hand. The main character with a crazy expression on his face thinks that an eye for an eye, a life for a life, and adds that this is a battle to the death. Either he or she will survive, because this is his fighting style. Taisu Zai impales the protagonist's torso with his fist. With a smile on his face, he grabs the girl's neck and thought that he had used the sword's purpose and almost lost. The defeated girl kneels. The 98th floor has been completed. A huge amount of golden energy emanates from the main character. Taisu Divine Tower, 98th floor. The main character touches his face and thinks that he doesn't remember who he was fighting with just now, and wonders why he can't remember. He adds that it doesn't matter and there is no time to think about it. In front of the main character are 4 stones with drawings of a knife, sword, shield, and fist. The main character wonders if the tower wants him to choose one thing. The main character chooses one of the stones. The notification says that the main character needs to learn sword skills in half a day, and the more he studies, the greater the result. Black energy rushes towards the main character. He thought that these were sword techniques. The main character begins to meditate and tells the system to spend breakthrough points on learning sword techniques. Alerts appear one after another until the main character has mastered 1,000 techniques. The last notification informs that everything rests, everything dies, and the first form is completed. The main character thinks this time he has a completely different life, because the system has the ability to break through in addition to the primordial sacred body and the murderous divine purpose of the sword. The main character believes that he needs to use these advantages to the fullest. He thought that the primordial sacred body is an invincible flesh, and the divine killing purpose of the sword has a peerless blade. He mentally asks how he can get closer to the power, what they hide in themselves. The main character opened his eyes. He thought that only the sacred blade would allow him to fully release all the benefits of the divine killing purpose of the sword and the primordial divine body. The main character materializes a sword in front of him. He takes it in both hands and says that it is heavy. He strikes and destructive golden purple energy rushes forward. The alert states that everything rests, everything dies, and the first form is completed. The main character opens his mouth wide and laughs. He shouts that this blow is incredible even for him, and he doubts that anyone can dodge such a terrifying attack. He adds that he didn't waste 1,000 points in vain. A notification appears where the destructive power of a sword technique is 5 stars, and the attack speed is 4 stars. Description: an incredible strike that immediately releases the power of the primordial body, and the divine killing purpose of the sword, and also quickly overcomes the distance to the enemy and releases a devastating blow. The latest notification says that the second form has not yet been studied and is not recommended to be studied due to the likelihood of death. Taisu Square. Many people gather near the palace. A man in a brown robe stands next to Chuziao-ran and asks if she really believes that Chuziu can reach the 80th floor and obtain the imperial silver sand to cure her sick mother. He adds that he could get some medicine from Aunt Kai Mengdai if she listened to him. The man says that 10 days have already passed, and the main character has not come out. He probably died in the tower a long time ago. He adds that every time the tower opens, more and more corpses of students are taken out of it. A man in a robe tried to touch the girl, but she throws his hand away and tells him not to touch her. Chuziao-ran thinks that the main character should be fine. The gong is struck. The girl shouts throughout the square that everything should be fine with Chu. Text appears on the stone. People look at the inscription on the stone, which says that the direct disciple of Yunzia Peak, Chu Ziu, has reached the 99th floor, being at the ocean consciousness realm level. The audience is shocked. Chuziao-ran smiled, and the brown hair guy became worried. The main character comes out of the gate and apologizes for keeping him waiting. Chuziao-ran approaches the main character and says that Brother Chu has finally come out. People surround the main character. One of them shouts that the main character is amazing. Another person asks for his autograph. The main character smiles and thinks that before all the students wished him dead as soon as they saw him, but now they all call him brother. The main character leaves an autograph for the girl and thinks that his atrocities were too strict and straightforward, and he was young and stupid in the past. Now he believes that villains should not stand out among everyone and secretly so evil. The elder and Mo Fei Yong fly up to the main character. The elder says that Chu did a good job. A girl in red clothes reports that a sacred master wants to meet with the main character. Taisu Castle. The main character introduces himself to a girl sitting on a hill and says that he has come to meet the master and his divine face. Kai Mengdai blushed and her gaze looked down. Taisu Zai says that she is pleased to see a student who has crossed the limits of the ancients and adds that Chu Zhu performed well today. The main character makes a small bow and, calling the girl Your Highness, asks if he can expect any rewards for breaking the records of the sacred lands. He thinks when else should he ask for a reward if not now. Kai Mengdai points his finger at the main character and shouts at him that he should know his place. Tai Suzai tells Mengdai that everything is fine and she is interested in what the student wants to receive as a reward. The main character with a small smile says that he wishes to obtain the baby demon soul fruit, 10,000th level medicinal spiritual milk, or the golden bodhi flower. Kai Mengdai gritted her teeth and called the main character greedy. Tai Suzai tells the main character that the armory of the sacred lands is full of all sorts of divine treasures, but it does not store what he wants. But she can send someone who can find these things. She adds that she cannot vouch for the result and it will take time. The main character replies that he will wait. He thinks with a malicious smile that Tai Suzai is quite accommodating, and if he can use the tears of mother and son on the Samsara seal on her, he can take control of her. The alert calls the main character cool. The main character used his power behind his back. Energy flows from his hand to Tai Suzai's neck. The notification states that the seal was successfully applied and the remaining number of uses is 0, and the seal itself can only be used on 2 people. The main character looks at the notice and realizes that the seal can only be used on 2 people at a time. He imagines Kai Mengdai and Tai Suzai courting him. The notification calls the protagonist a natural-born villain because he wants to cultivate his powers with Tai Suzai, and notifies him of receiving a reward in the form of a black squid ink pill. The black squid ink core improves the effect of the poison. There are 3 types. With the help of various thousands of poison formulas you can improve it to the highest level. If you combine all 3 types into one, you will form a pill that improves items for thousands of years. It is possible to create the highest ranking pill, the enhancement pill created by the Emperor. The main character smiles and thinks about how tempting it is and whether a villain can be called a villain without the ability to use poison. Tai Suzai says that the 9th Trigraph treasure can increase his strength to the maximum and hopes that he will use it wisely. The main character makes a small bow and thanks the girl. The main character goes in the opposite direction. Kai Mengdai follows him. Tai Suzai cannot understand where this feeling of danger comes from. She assumes that there is a rat hiding somewhere. She touches her forehead and thinks that perhaps she has been isolated from everyone for too long and has become too sensitive. The ship flies against the background of clouds. Chu and Kai Meng are sitting at the table. Two maids are standing next to them. The main character tells the maids to leave because he wants to tell the master something. The master wanted to tell them not to leave, but changed her mind. She coughed and told them to leave them. The main character raises two fingers up and concentrates energy in them. It leaves a sound insulation stamp on the door. The main character props his chin with his hand and says that now they are alone and suggests not to miss this opportunity. The girl takes off her mask and loudly asks if he is going to mock her again and use her as some kind of toy. The main character asks if she really saw anger in his eyes. She asks if this is the case. The main character takes the mask from the master's hand and asks if she wants her powers back. The girl answers approvingly. Chu sits down next to her and looking at the mask says that this thing is not so bad, since it perfectly hides the level of cultivation. Because even Tai Su Jai did not notice the catch. Kai Meng Dai crosses her arms and says that the main character's hiding tricks aren't that bad. The main character looks at the girl with a smile. She says that after what they did, a trace of the divine aura should have remained on his body. She closes her eyes and sniffs. The girl asks the main character to name the conditions for the return of cultivation, since he is not so generous. The main character hands her a box with a folded item of clothing and tells her to try this on first. The girl is holding something fabric in her hand. She asks what it is and the main character tells her to just wear it and get the reward. The girl puts on tights. The main character tried to touch the girl. She pushes him away, calling him a worthless student and asking what he is trying to do. He notices that she still calls him that. The main character approaches her face and tells her to call him master. The girl turns away and tells him to keep dreaming and she won't call him that for the rest of his life. Chu replies that she seems to like to be stubborn. 10 minutes pass. The main character pins Kai Meng Dai to the floor. She tells the main character that she is a master. The divine warrior will not succumb to him. The main character hugs her and says that if she doesn't call him that, he will make sure that her screams are heard by everyone who is now in the ship. The master calls the main character a terrible student and tells him not to cross the line. The girl has beads of sweat on her face and clenches her teeth. She calls the main character master with an embarrassed face. She shouts to the main character that she will kill him at the first opportunity. Outside are the mountains where Chu Ziu resides. The main character walks across the bridge and thinks that he has already given Chu Zio Ran the Imperial Silver Sand and now he will see how Tai Su Zai reacts. He held 2 scrolls in his hands and thought that Chu Zio Ran's report was quite detailed and it seemed that the baby demon soul fruit had not been found yet. He adds that if he wants to conquer the elusive demonic abandoned lands, he needs to increase his cultivation. The main character pays attention to 2 people sitting to his right. The big man looks at the newspaper and says that the divine list has just been updated. The guy with freckles points to the newspaper and says that of course, because the demon Chu died a long time ago, and it is natural that someone else will take his place. Records of major and minor events of the Taixing continent. List of the most powerful. On the other side there is a column with rumors. One topic is worth 1 spiritual stone. The main character with a smile on his face thinks that they have no idea that the Chu demon they are discussing is alive now. The big guy clutches the newspaper and says that someone else has moved up in the lists of low-level saints. He continues that there used to be a saint there, Jan Zion, under the auspices of the god Yin Yang, and now there is Liu Hongyi. The guy with freckles says that Jan Zion is his favorite goddess and asks who Liu Hongyi is. The main character wonders who this girl is. Chu approaches these 2 guys and asks if they could sell him this newspaper. The big guy gives him a newspaper and says he can have it for free. The main character leaves them and reads the newspaper. The big guy asks his friend if he heard that Chu Ziu was included in the divine list and adds that it is better not to mess with him. The guy with freckles says that he heard and he wonders how he became so strong. The main character reads a newspaper where it is written that the demon Chu, who was in first place, died, and Fang Yaogan took first place. Chan Zion Lin, who was in 4th place, was supplanted by Liu Hongyi, the chief divine daughter of the Red Dust Sword clan. The latest news is that over the past 6 months, demons and barbarians have entered the territory of the human race in large numbers. The main character notices that Liu Hongyi really became 4th on the list. Next comes a wanted poster, where it is written that Liu Hongyi betrayed the Red Dust Sword sect. Reward, 1 million yuan divine stones. According to the leader of the Red Dust Sword clan, Liu Hongyi attacked the leader to avenge Demon Chu, who was surrounded and killed. The Red Dust Sword clan sounded the alarm. All those who participated in the Chu demon's encirclement must be careful. The main character remembers a girl in red clothes and her hair in a ponytail. He calls her a stupid girl. The main character lies on the field next to a girl in a red robe. She says her name is Liu Hongyi. Her clothes are covered in blood. She tells the main character that he knows that her entire family is dead. The main character also introduces himself. He looks at the sky and says that his family is on the other side of the stars, so he won't be able to see her anymore. The girl admires him and says that since he helped her bury her family, why don't they become a family? Chu replies that of course. They high-five each other and the girl says that they agreed and from now on they are family. The main character, using telepathy, tells his younger sister Taoyao that he has a request and asks her to find something. Taoyao comes to the main character, who is looking into the distance. He turns to his sister. The girl asks what the main character is thinking about when he looks at the moon alone. He replies that he was just remembering the old days. The girl says that elder brother has been on Yunzia mountain for 30 years. She adds that when the county of the mortal kingdom Kishan was attacked by a race of demons, it was the master who defeated the demons and brought back the protagonist. She moves her hands behind her back and tells the main character that he was very lucky, because then he was only 3 years old. But he was able to survive the attack of demons. She holds the main character by the hands and says that if he survived the disaster, it means he is protected by luck, then calls him the Chosen One. She adds that Kishan County was his home, but the sacred lands are also his home, and now she and the master are his family, and if he ever gets homesick, he can turn to her. The protagonist says, okay. He slaps her hand and says that she is his salvation. The main character smiles slightly and thought that 30 years ago Chu Zhu survived not thanks to luck, because it was him, the demon Chu, who planned everything. He adds that of course, the meeting with Kai Meng Dai was also planned in order to infiltrate the sacred lands of Tai Su. Taoyao is embarrassed, thinking that his brother has changed a lot lately, because before he avoided her all the time. But now he is quite open. The girl stands on her tiptoes. She kisses the main character on the cheek. The girl gives the main character an envelope and says that this is the report he wanted to receive. The girl leaves the main character and tells him to go to bed early today, and she will go develop her skills. The main character is embarrassed and thinks why she suddenly kissed him and tells himself to calm down. He opens the letter and thinks that 3 days ago Liu Hongyi appeared in Changang City on the eastern continent. He focuses on the city of Changang and thought that it would be a little difficult. Eastern continent, Great Tang Empire, Changang City. There is a fire in the city and smoke spreads from the strong flames. A bearded man in a green robe loudly shouts to Liu Hongyi that she is really going to become like the demon Chu and make all of humanity her enemy. A girl floats in the air above the city. Liu Hongyi, the chief divine daughter of the leader of the Red Dust Sword clan. The girl, shrouded in blue energy, is blindfolded. The man in the green robe shouts that their Zhai family will never forgive her, and they will definitely tear her to pieces. The blue energy emanating from the girl's blow hits the man directly. A girl floats against the background of the moon. A dark image appears behind her and asks what she is going to do next. She replies that she will kill everyone. The dark image asks if she is really going to fight against the whole world for him. She replies that the world is his enemy, which means hers too. She continues that if he were a Buddha, he would go through all the suffering for him, and if he were a demon, she would kill everyone for him. A sign made of orange energy appears behind the main character. He thought that he had not cultivated the martial arts received as a reward for passing the Tai Su Tower, and while there was no one around, now was the right time to start cultivating. Streams of energy emanate from the orange tablet. An alert appears. The truth of the ninth hero, also known as 9 secrets, the strongest law of the secret of heaven and earth. Upon completion of the 9 secrets, the student can become invincible. Zinki's secret, the fastest secret technique in the world, when developed to the maximum, can break through all the strongest formations without the possibility of stopping. And the problem is that it is difficult to understand and cultivators will need very strong talents and understanding. Chu exhales, ending his meditation. The main character stretches, and the silhouette of a girl appears behind him. He says that Xingzi's secret is really hard to master, because 3 days have passed and he still doesn't understand it. The main character notices that someone is behind him and asks who is there. It was a girl with a fan in her hand who calls herself Hua Luofei, and she is an elder from Daoyun Peak. She asks if the main character is Chu Zhu. The girl raises her fan to shoulder level and, smiling, says that she will not disturb the main character. She has her sun's seal on her chest, which is what the main character draws attention to. Chu with a serious expression thought that Tai Su Zai had used another form to meet him. The main character makes a small bow and asks if he can find out why she is here. The girl replies that she went for a walk after finishing her business on Mount Yunzia and came across him. She sits on a rock and says that seeing the protagonist working hard for cultivation, she believes that he is planning to visit the elusive demonic wasteland. The protagonist replies that yes, there are many opportunities for development in the elusive demonic wasteland, but with these opportunities there is also danger, so he must develop to be ready for them. Chu looked at the girl and really liked her. He also sits down on a stone and says that her student is interested in something and asks if she can give advice. The girl tells him to ask. The main character crosses his arms and says that before the era of Emperor Lu, there was only one person, the Great Emperor or the Demon Emperor, who appeared once every 100,000 years. The human race fought with the demon race even before the beginning of the era of the abandoned century before the era of Emperor Lu. He wonders why humanity did not completely destroy the demons with Emperor Lu, or why the demons did not completely destroy humans when their great emperor appeared. With a serious expression on his face, he says that he cannot understand this since Tianxing arrived on the continent, and since he has met Tai Suzai, she will be able to answer him. The girl touches her chin with a fan and says that most likely there was some kind of agreement between the Emperor of People and the Emperor of Demons, because even if a great emperor was born on one side, he could suppress the other side, but not use his powers to destroy opponents. But why everything turned out this way, no one knows. With a thoughtful expression on her face, she says that there is an opinion that when you become an emperor, you learn the secrets of the stars and the Tianxing continent. The main character asks if there is anyone stronger than the emperor in this world. Hua Luofei looks at the night sky and says that no one knows if there is anyone stronger than the great emperor, because before the era of the abandoned century, the primitive era and the era of Emperor Lu, 17 great emperors appeared, but in the end they disappeared without a trace. No one found it. The girl says that those who can become great emperors have an unsurpassed rare talent, and then asks why they didn't dare to take this step. Is there really no further path or future? The girl gets up from the stone and says that she is not going to discuss the cultivation of the great emperor, it is too ambitious. The main character asks the girl if she is leaving. He answers yes and tells the main character to work on cultivating it. Chu puts his hand on the back of his head and asks if they will meet again. The girl offers to meet him when he returns from the elusive demonic wasteland. The main character, with a smile on his face, raises his palm and says that he will wait for her here after returning. The alert calls the main character charming. Kai Meng Dai Room. The main character holds his hands on the back of his head and says that cultivating the secrets of Xingzi takes too much effort, and he should probably find a master and ask again for cultivation materials. The main character hears a conversation from the other side of the gate. A man's voice asks Kai Meng Dai to help him, otherwise it will be too late. He adds that if she asks him for the Emperor's divine sand, he will certainly give it to her. A man in a brown robe stands in front of the master, who is sitting on the sofa. The girl calls the man Minger and says that this does not mean that she does not want to help him, and if they ask him for something without a reason, it will be wrong. Minger looks angry. The main character thought that this was the master's nephew and noticed that he always treats his younger sister Xiao Ran badly, and he thought that this guy was strong, but he is a weakling. Chu thought with a smile that since his dear nephew wants to get the Emperor's sacred sand so badly, it's worth teaching him a lesson. The main character approaches Minger from behind and asks if he needs golden sand. The guy grabs the main character by the shoulders and asks the main character if he has any gold dust left. The main character replies that yes, he still has it, because he has been cultivating for the last few days and has not seen his younger sister Xiao Ran and is looking for an opportunity to give it to her. Minger asks the main character if he can give the sand so that he can give it to her. The main character materializes a black stone in his hand and says that he acquired this thing after facing enormous difficulties. Minger thought that if he took away this golden sand, he would be the only person in all of Tianxing who had it. Minger imagines being blackmailed by Chu Xiao Ran. He thought that when the time came, Chu Xiao Ran would beg him to give this item back. Minger shakes hands with the main character and asks him to name the price. The main character names the price of 1 million premium yuan stones. The interlocutor agrees and calls Chu Zhu a very good person. He smiles and thought that he assumed that the main character would refuse him, but he turned out to be generous. The main character tells the guy that he is the master's nephew and therefore he is his good friend. Minger replies that yes, they are good friends. The main character materializes another item and says that he still has some, and then asks if he wants more sand and why not buy them all at that price. Minger, with a worried look on his face, asks how much he wants and thinks that he needs to become the sole owner of the silver sand. Otherwise he will not be able to blackmail Chu Xiao Ran. The main character says that he still doesn't have much left and continues to throw stones on the floor. There was a pile of black stones on the ground. Minger is shocked and exclaims, "And that's not much." The main character says that he will keep everything if he doesn't buy it. A man in a robe points his finger at the main character and asks the master why she is not following him. The master crossed her arms and said that he had already received his silver sand and he needed to leave. Minger opened his mouth with a pitiful expression on his face. He turns around and leaves the hall. The girl calls the main character a rebellious student and asks the main character why he provoked him. He replies that it was an equal exchange. The main character approaches Kai Meng Dai. He sits down next to her and asks what she just called him. The girl calls him a disobedient student. The main character takes out a stick with a feather at the end and says that she must call him brother. The girl covers herself with her hand and tells him to dream. The main character tickles the girl and tells her that she has gained weight. He tickles her and asks her to let him look at her. The girl grabs an apple and throws it at Chu. She says that she hasn't gained weight and asks the main character to get lost. He bites the apple that was thrown at him. The main character puts his feet on the sofa and asks the master if she did what he ordered. The girl says that everything is in the Imperial Hall and asks to let her in so that she can bring it. Imperial Hall Kai Meng Dai. There is a security seal on the window. The main character, sitting on the bed with Kai Meng Dai, asks where it is. The girl takes the pillow and says that it's here. She shows the main character a box with 3 golden objects. The main character tells the girl that she is an excellent creator. The girl crossed her arms with a smug face. She says that this stone can not only emit light, but also create heat. Chu says that by using these stones for massage, they can restore her health and strengthen her cultivation. The main character runs an object along her leg. The master asks what the main character is doing. He looks into her face with a smile and calls her a beautiful woman. The girl asks if he really asked her to create this thing to mock her. The main character puts his hand next to her. Kai Meng Dai looks very angry. The main character asks if this is what the master wants, and she replies that she was mistaken. A notification appears with the characteristics of the main character. At the moment he has the 9th level of the Ocean of Consciousness. Talent is 1414, and cultivation is 33 times faster. The combat strength is 35 times stronger than the combat strength of an ordinary cultivator. The main one stands next to the bed where Kai Meng Dai lies. He thought that the effect of the divine body greatly increases the strength of the owner. He looks at the girl's face and thinks that small midges are also useful. The master wakes up and finds that she is alone in the room. She leans on her hand and says that this barbarian has finally left. She adds that he was so carried away by narcissism that he forgot to impose restrictions and seal her powers before leaving. The girl sits down in a meditation pose. She notices that he really forgot and adds that how good it is to be able to cultivate. She folds her hands into a triangle and thinks how good it is to feel the power filling her body. With a surprised look, she notices that her cultivation has progressed. She asks if this has something to do with the main character. The girl concentrates blue energy in her hand. The energy suddenly disappears and smoke appears in its place. She screams loudly asking why there is a seal on her again. She hears the voice of the main character. He says that he just taught her a lesson and even if they are far from each other, he can still seal the powers. The girl takes the main character's voodoo doll. She swings the game at her and shouts that her disobedient student must die. The girl felt something in her stomach. She asks why she feels something moving in her stomach. A week passes. Opposite the portal to the secret realm of the monster's wasteland stands a huge number of people. Tai Suzai announces that as always, the secret kingdom will only be open for 30 days. The main character is among a crowd of people. The girl continues that during these 30 days everyone must gather at the teleport point or they will be locked in a secret kingdom for several centuries until the next opening. Also, after leaving the secret kingdom, everyone must give a certain part of their fines, and then at the meeting all donations will be evaluated. She adds that those students who are in the top 10 in donations will receive welcome awards. Chu yawns and mentally asks her to shut up because he doesn't care about rewards and only wants to get to the demon fruit in this realm. The girl says to wait for the portal to open. Yifan appears behind the main character, waving his hand and calling his name. The guy asks Chu if he is also going to go to the wasteland. The main character answers positively and thinks that his journey will not go smoothly. He asks Yifan what he is thinking about. The guy puts his hand on the back of his head and invites the main character to go away and talk. Chu agrees and shows the direction where they could go. Yifan with a gloomy face follows the main character and hears Lu Zhu, who tells him to eliminate Chu. In an ancient forest of centuries-old trees, the girl sits on a tree and telepathically conveys the words that he must be careful and not leave traces, and it would be best if the main character dies in the mouth of a wasteland monster, and even if the divine servants use time regression, they will not understand what happened. The girl crossed her arms and legs, thinking that she had prepared several disciples to destroy Kai Meng Dai's pet as soon as he entered the secret realm. She asks him not to reproach her for her cruelty, since he was simply unlucky to become the student of such a disgusting person like her. Lu Xiu notices two figures flying on a boat near her. A man with white hair is flying on a boat, the second disciple of Yun Ziapeak named Xiao Yifeng and Jan Lingyun. Jan Lingyun says that the elder brother is at the peak and is it good to act like this as brothers. He asks if it would be good to do this and if he is afraid of disgracing Yun Zia after Chu's death. He adds that the main character is now incredibly brilliant and is a presumptive candidate for the role of the Holy Sun. The man with white hair replies that a dead genius will no longer be a genius, and dead brothers are the best brothers, and moreover, Chu creates problems everywhere. Lu Xiu looks at these two and thought that she is not the only one who wants to kill the main character, which is not surprising, since Kai Meng Dai is a bad person and her students cannot be good. Tao Yao and Chu Xiao Ran are the names of the main character. Tao Yao asks why her sister is also here and replies that she is here, of course, to say goodbye to the main character. They look together at the main character, who asks what brought two sisters here at such a moment. The notification says that it looks like the owner is lucky in love. Tao Yao gives the main character a large sword and says that it is a heavy sword that he asked her to find. She reports that she found it in a few days and therefore hurried to give it to him. The alert conveys information about the Overlord's dragon sword. Investing elemental energy into it can greatly increase its damage from a blow. Description: this sword was created from the spinal cord bone of an ancient monster, the Azure Dragon. Red energy envelops the sword when the main character takes it in his hand. Shu thanks Tao Yao, and she says that this is all for the pleasure of her older brother. He strokes the girl. She tells her older brother to be more careful when he enters the wasteland, because the secret kingdom opens every few centuries and is teeming with ancient, powerful demonic monsters. The main character thanks the girl for worrying about him and says that he will be careful. The girl replies that then she can sleep peacefully. Chu turns to Chu Xiao Ran and asks what brings her here. She holds a bag in her hands and says that she found several materials for creating formations that can be useful in the secret kingdom. The main character says that his sister is very attentive. She thanks the main character for the Emperor's silver sand, because her mother has already gotten back on her feet. The girl invites the main character to come over for tea since his mother wants to thank him personally. Tao Yao gets jealous watching the dialogue between the two. Chu says that Chu Xiao Ran is too kind and when he returns, he will definitely bring a gift and visit her mother. A violet portal opens, which envelops everything around with violet energy. Tai Suzai calls the students and says that the teleport is activated, and students who have received the qualification can enter the portal. The main character bows a little in front of the girls and says that he will go. The main character enters the portal. Tao El says she didn't have time to finish. Chu Xiao Ran replies that there are a lot of things in the secret kingdom that big brother Chu Xiu needs, and no wonder he can't wait to enter. The pink-haired girl clenched her teeth. She yells at Chu Xiao Ran and tells her to stay away from her big brother and not act like she understands him well. The girl asks Tao Yao what she means, because between her and the main character there is only a formal relationship and it is not at all as dirty as she thinks. Chu Xiao Ran says that she has no reason to be angry because anger can lead to wrinkles. A girl with pink hair asks if she is angry, to which she is told that she is acting like a nanny, and it is not surprising that the main character ran away from her so quickly. She made an angry expression and pink energy enveloped Tao Yao. She asks if her interlocutor is deliberately provoking her. Secret Kingdom of Wasteland Monsters. Many students are walking along a path between the trees. One of them claims that the Wasteland Kingdom is huge. Another student says that according to his master, the diameter of the wasteland is 10 million miles, which is about 1 of 24 the size of the northern city. Another student says that with such a huge territory there are many opportunities and suggests that they team up to find treasures together. The main character stands behind a crowd of students. He props up his chin with his hand and thinks about whether he should find Yifan first, because if he travels with him, the main character can gain his trust from the main character and can open up many opportunities for himself. One of the students points his finger at Chu and tells everyone to go together. Concern can be seen on the protagonist's face. He asks what's going on and thinks who he offended and claims that he didn't do anything. The system asks Chu why he is so narrow-minded. Many students run after the main character, who shouts that he will never fight. He materializes a boat and says that in this situation it would be best to retreat. Chu quickly jumps onto the boat and flies away. The bald man points his finger at the boat and shouts that he is running away. The bald man smiles evilly and tells the others not to worry, because before entering, Jian Lingyun's elder brother gave him a compass that tracks the aura, and even if the main character falls underground, they will still find him. Into the depths of the realm of the demonic wasteland, streams of dark energy are emanating from around the purple demon child's soul fruit. The fruit is located on the top of a high mountain. In front of the main character is a huge python, a demonic monster of the wasteland of the demon emperor level. The python opens its huge mouth, attacking Chu. He opens his eyes and shouts, "Secret of the head of sin." The main character swings his sword, which is enveloped in black and purple energy. He cuts off the head of a huge python with a lightning attack. The defeated python lies on the ground in front of Chu. Near the main character, a black flower materializes from dark energy. The creation of the flower is completed. The notification offers to exchange the flower for the opportunity to gain breakthrough points. The main character takes the flower in his hand and exchanges it using the system, receiving 70,000 breakthrough points in return. The main character exhales and, sitting on the ground, says that he has finally reached 500,000. The notification offers to choose a breakthrough from the proposed ones. The purpose of the sword is to kill the gods. Possible paths. The sword technique is a universal stop. The secret technique is the chapter of sin. The secret technique is the chapter of the Holy Scripture alchemy. The main character tells the secret of the head of sin. An alert appears informing him that due to his body's origins, his natural talent has been enhanced and his understanding of the sin chapter's secret has advanced. Another notification informs about progress in the sin chapter, about obtaining preliminary insight. The main character removes the dust from his clothes and says that it is time to fertilize the earth, the fruit of the child of the demonic soul. He walks towards the purple fruit and says that judging by the color of the fruit, it is not yet ripe. The alert tells the owner that his luck is really low, and the fruit is really not ripe yet. The main character holds his head with his hand. The system reports that the main character finally fought the python, but unfortunately the demon's soul fruit is still not ripe. The main character props up his chin and asks if this means that he can't master it. The alert calls the main character ruthless and calls him the devil incarnate. Green particles fly among the treetops. The main character collects grass. The main character was called out by a guy with a hammer behind his back, next to whom stood a girl with purple hair. The guy with the hammer on his back is named Chen Mufin, and his team consists of a guy with long bangs, a bald guy, a guy in black clothes, and a girl with purple hair. The main character asks if they came to kill him too. Chen Mufin smiles and telepathically tells his group that they need to suppress their killing intent. He adds that this guy is fast and they won't be able to stop him if he tries to escape, so first they need to approach him and wait for the others, and then surround him. The guy with long bangs and the girl agree with him. Chen Mufin approaches the main character and says that killing students is an insult to graves. The girl asks Chu who is chasing him. The girl presses her hand to her chest and asks who dared to attack the student who is about to become true, and adds that he must tell them who is chasing him and perhaps they can help. The main character exhales and says that he doesn't know them, but these people appeared quite recently. The girl takes the main character by the hand and asks him why he doesn't team up with them, because they can help if he suddenly encounters pursuers. She adds that no one will dare to attack them. The main character looks at the girl and her two comrades and thought that they were experts. Shu thinks that this little sister is quite suitable for him. The girl conveys a message not to panic, because this guy is just a slutty but a good person. The guy with the long bangs says that he's still worried about their safety, which is funny because he doesn't even know that they're chasing him. Chen Mufin conveys the words that he cannot be blamed. After all, they are too convincing. Chen Mufin tells Chu that in the future he will be one of the main personalities in the sacred Tai Su and they will all save him even at the cost of their lives. The girl asks to allow the main character to stay with them. The main character says that he is sincerely touched by their correctness and agrees with them. The girl presses herself against the protagonist's hand and says that on sacred lands, they are all family to each other and there was no need to say this. The girl hugged the main character tightly. He asks everyone to follow him. Chu invites everyone to the spit and says that this is roasted lamb prepared by Chu Xiao Ran's sister especially for him before entering the secret kingdom. He adds that he ate alone and couldn't finish it and how lucky he was that he met them all here, because now he can free up the space he occupied in his bag. Chen Mufin and his team are surprised. Everyone sits down and the main character, Pouring a drink from a jug to the girl, says that this must be fate and asks everyone to enjoy, and also to eat and drink for their pleasure. Chen Mufan says you shouldn't be so polite. The main character drinks a glass of drink. The girl with purple hair thinks that the wine is not poisoned. The leader of the group of students calls the wine excellent, and the main character replies that it is from his master's stash. He asks to eat lamb, because eating in large portions and gorging on wine is all you need for happiness. Chen Mufan calls the meat very tasty, and the main character says to take more, and if he doesn't have enough, he has some more with him. Lamb bones lie on an extinguished fire. The main character looks at the floor, about to say something. The leader of the group of students asks the main character to say what he wanted to say. The main character with a gloomy look asks that Xiao Yifeng and Jan Lingyun were given so many aids that they decided to have a good rest before killing him. All eyes are directed at the main character. The girl is scared. Chen Mufan, with a hammer in his hand, asks when he realized this. The main character replies that, of course, from the moment they appeared. A guy with a hammer shrouded in blue energy attacks the main character. Chu uses the secret of the Sin chapter. Chen Mufan hit the ground with his hammer, causing impressive destruction. The main character jumps away. He lands on the ground. The main character looks at the students and says that they should look inside their kingdom of the purple castle of the divine bridge. Purple energy shines in the bodies of the protagonist's enemies. The frightened girl asks if he put poison in the wine. The main character says that there is no wine in his poison. The system laughs and reports that it is about to burst with laughter, because their poison is absolutely identical to an alcoholic drink, although this is not in their composition at all. The main character asks them if they want to survive and says that he can give them a chance. Chen Mufan asks what Chu Zhu wants from them. The main character throws a small scroll to the girl. Beads of sweat appear on her face. The main character tells them to follow these instructions and that the bottle contains 10 antidote tablets that will help them survive for 3 days, and after completing the task he will cure them. The purple-haired girl asks how they can trust him. Chu raises 3 fingers up and says that he swears on the name of the master that if he does not keep his word, then the heavenly commandments will curse his cultivation and he will not achieve any progress. Kai Meng Dai sneezes after biting into an apple and wonders who remembers her. The girl says that they will do everything and hope that he will keep his word. The main character calls the red boat and says that he will expect good news from them. Many people are standing near the boats. Ting Xiao, a true disciple of Tang Jian Peak, a man with black hair and purple eyes, comes and says that he has a peak of 9 levels of divine plum blossom. Chen Mufan bows slightly and tells everyone to calm down and let him explain everything. He adds that an hour ago they found Chu Zhu here, but as soon as he saw them, he ran away very quickly and they could not catch up with him. Ting Xiao asks why they called them here then. Ting Xiao says that when Chu ran away, he dropped this thing and shows the scroll. Ting Xiao asks what is this. The guy shows a drawing with a mark on the mountain. He says that the scroll contains information about a place where a rare demon child soul fruit grows in this world. And this fruit grows at the peak of this mountain. Ting Xiao says that the demon fruit is really here. With a menacing look, he asks why they don't go and take the fruit themselves. He doesn't believe that they are so generous and asks what they are really trying to achieve. Chen Mufan wraps the scroll and says that the environment in which this fruit grows is too dangerous, and if the 5 of them go, one might say, they will go to their death. He adds that they need his help and it would be great if he shared the reward with them by capturing the soul of the demon child. Ting Xiao takes the scroll and says that they have agreed. He tells a group of students that this map was received from Chu and it is not good if he gets there before them. He smiles and thinks that this Chen Mufan is still the same child and wants them to spend their energy and also share their reward. Chu watches the deal from afar. He thought that here they were, just a few people. A group of people approach the purple fruit. Ting Xiao says that this thing can block divine consciousness, so they shouldn't disperse too much. The girl with gray hair tells her brother not to worry. A nascent being can be seen in the fruit. Someone shouts that this is really the fruit of the human soul and asks who wants to get it. Someone else laughs and says that if they swallow this fruit, they will immediately reach the realm of superiority. Another disciple says that if they sell it, they will receive tens of thousands of yuan divine stones. The guy with brown hair clenches his fist and says that they will get rich. Ting Xia puts out his hand and tells everyone to wait, because the color of this demon fruit is different and it looks like it is not fully ripe. He adds that he has seen pictures of ripe fruit in ancient writings and a ripe demon fruit should be blood red in color and have a certain aura. He continues that if they swallow an unripe one, it will be overwhelmed with yin energy, which will lead to death. The girl with green hair asks what they should do, because their time in the demonic realm is limited, and they cannot wait for him to fully mature. She offers to pick up the fruit and then decide what to do with it. The main character takes a step. Those present are enveloped in dark red energy. A girl with gray hair closes her mouth. She shouts that this is an illusory field and asks how this could happen. A man in a black shirt behind the girl screams and scratches at his chest. He begins to strangle the girl and shouts that he will kill the monster who brought his mother to death. The students begin to fight each other. King Zio shouts that this is wrong and tells everyone to stop. One of the students is lying in blood, and roots from a demonic fruit are reaching towards him. The embryo in the fruit opened its eyes. Half an hour passes. The main character stands next to the dead guy with a sword in his hand. He puts his hands on his belt and, standing in front of the many killed students, thinks that he did not know that this demonic fruit would ripen due to the fact that it absorbed the vital forces of people. The main character looks at the fruit and thought that it still needs vitality to ripen. The main character decides to give up this business because a few days won't solve anything, and it's too dangerous here. He decides to leave here first and then decide. 2 days pass. The purple-haired girl asks Chen Mufin what happened in the mountains and why it suddenly became so quiet, and also what happened to Yan and the others. The guy props up his chin and says that demonic fruit cannot be possessed by ordinary people, and that's why they didn't go with them. The girl says that since they didn't get the demon fruit, maybe the main character will give them the antidote. The main character appears in front of them and says that some of them did not go for the fruit. Chen Mufin with a smiling face says that he has already sent people to get the fruit, and although they could not take the demon fruit, they tried. He says that he hopes that the main character will save them from the poison. The main character looks at them calmly and thinks that these cunning people not only failed to collect the fruit, but also sacrificed their comrades in those mountains, and now they even dare to ask for salvation. The main character notices something. He notices a demonic aura. He turns towards the students and asks if they brought this demonic aura here. Chen Mufin replies that they have no connection with the demonic clan. Creatures with dark skin riding on bulls rush towards the main character and a group of students. The demon raises the axe up and shouts that they have found people again and calls for them to be killed for the sake of the tribe of freedom. The main character thought that they entered the secret kingdom 10 days ago, and this is only the 3rd time they have crossed paths with a countless demonic clan, and apparently they are hunting for them. A seal appears around the main character's leg. He uses the secret of the formation. The main character jumps on the demons with a 2-handed sword in his hands. He makes a devastating blow with which he felled the bull. One of the demons with a frightened face thought that the fighting strength was too much for them. The main character points a blade at the chest of a demon who has fallen from a bull. He forces him to say why this group of demons suddenly appeared here. The demon replies that he will not tell. The main character concentrates black and purple energy in his sword and says that then he will slowly cut off parts of his body. But he still will not stand it, and will eventually speak. The frightened demon shouts what he will say. He reveals that they were usually held back in the demonic realm by Emperor Taisu's Tao power, and that they received orders from a demon from the realm of supremacy to attack them here. The main character looks at the demon with contempt and thought that this demon is from the realm of superiority, and that it seems that the depths of this secret demonic realm are very insidious. Shu cut the monster's throat with a swing of his sword, shrouded in red energy. The monster fell to the ground, spilling blood. One of the demons, sweating nervously, asked if Nu really died so easily. Shu, turning to the others, told Chen that he was leaving the rest of the minor demons to him. He asked that with his abilities he could easily deal with them. A girl with purple hair, placing her hand on her chest, asked if he would cure them by chance. The main character thanked her with a smile for reminding him, because he never makes empty promises. He threw the jar into her hands. Standing in the air on the boat, he wished them good luck. The demon asked with a grin that the strongest opponent had escaped and everyone else had been poisoned. The demons surrounded them and they said they were in trouble. The demon, laughing, ordered them to be killed for the sake of the tribe and freedom. The pig-like demon pinned the wounded girl to the ground and told her not to be afraid because he would not hurt her. While floating in the air on the boat, Chu thought that the demon fruit needed 2 more days to ripen. He thought about what he should do these 2 days. The guy, standing next to the cave, laughed and said that he was there. The main character turned towards the sound with a grin. The guy exclaimed that he had finally come to the treasury of the quasi-demon emperor. Outside a melting cave, Yifan exclaimed with a smile that he had come for the treasure. He thought that the protagonist's luck was in his favor. The main character thought that, unfortunately for him, he had met him. He peeked out from behind the rock with an evil grin. Flashing past Yifan, Chu mentally thanked him and asked him to go ahead and scout the area for him. Looking around, Yifan asked what it was. Beneath the cave's stalactite-covered ceiling was a proof ring surrounded by blue crystals. Inside a melting cave, standing with a jug in his hand under a dripping stalactite, Chu said that the milk of the universal stone was worth a lot of money, and by collecting it he could make a good fortune. Looking at the 3 flowers, she said that he couldn't let these high-ranking immortal grasses go to waste. There were several notifications on the system notification about an increase in luck. A minute later, wiping the sweat from his forehead, the main character said that he was finished. He suggested that his luck had increased greatly due to the fact that he had stolen the possibility of the protagonist's fate from Yifan. The system said with a grin that he was absorbing the luck of another, and if he had not interfered, Yifan would have received these treasures and would undoubtedly skyrocket in the eyes of others. Looking at the yellow bag, Chu thought that there were thousands of Earth-rank spiritual herb plants, more than 100 divine-rank spiritual herb plants, and 3 pear-shaped bottles filled to the brim with 1,000-year-old milk of stones. He thought that by selling these things, even a homeless person would become rich. Noticing something, the main character turned around. He noticed 2 shining objects standing on pedestals. He thought that this was undoubtedly the most important part of the treasure stored in this place. Chu noticed a huge white snake sleeping on the rocks. He thought in amazement that there was a white snake lying at the peak of the other world realm level, and it seemed that the huge snake was responsible for guarding the treasure, but the mechanism was not worth starting. The main character approached the pedestal with a red object. Yifan appeared behind him, and Chu turned around. Yifan, scratching the back of his head with a smile, exclaimed, "What a coincidence that we met again." He said that he also discovered some treasures here. The blue magic circle glowed under his foot. Chu exclaimed that this guy had just triggered the guard mechanism of a huge snake. The snake woke up from sleep and stood up, sparkling red eyes. It opened its mouth with sharp teeth and huge fangs. Having grabbed the objects from the pedestals, Chu thought that they could not stay here for a long time, and they urgently needed to leave here. He quickly began to leave the cave, and Yifan exclaimed that things had taken a very bad turn. The women were floating in the air in the lotus position above a large blue magic circle. An old man with a long gray beard shouted that something terrible had happened, and the badges of students who entered the demonic realm were disappearing in huge quantities. Kai Meng Dai asked how many icons had disappeared. The old man said that all 775 badges were missing. She asked what was wrong with her student, Chu Ziu. The old man said his sign was still burning. Looking down, Kai Meng Dai said that there must have been a special incident in the demonic secret realm, and in all the past years, it had never happened that so many disciples had died. She thought why she was so worried about this scoundrel, because it would be better if he died. Tai Suzai told them not to worry and said that she was using illusory vision to take a peek. The white magic circle on the ground glowed brightly. 3 huge blue eyes appeared above the rocks. The guy, noticing the huge eye, asked if someone was watching the secret kingdom from the outside. The demon asked if the human race was going to attack them. He said that he didn't want to die. A blue eye hovered above the main battle force of the demonic race. In front of everyone on the rock stood a large red demon with a huge sword. The red demon said not to worry because no one would be able to attack them through the secret realm, not even the Holy King himself. The magic shark reached the peak of the kingdom of another world. He said that the human race can only watch them from the outside, but they cannot do anything. The demon's face twisted into a grin and he said, laughing, that if they wanted to watch, let them witness them destroy their fellows. Pointing his sword forward, he ordered the killing of all the people and told them to go forward, for the sake of the existence of this kingdom and for the sake of proclaiming their freedom. Looking at the object in his hand, the demon exclaimed that the valuable mirror could sense something. Smiling widely, he asked that the second part of the mirror had appeared. He said that if he could get the other half and connect the 2 parts, then he could break through the Dao Castle realm. A crowd of people looked at the image of attacking demons floating in the air, asking about the fact that the demon clan had finally rebelled. A girl with long dark hair asked how this huge demon could already reach the top of the Burgundy kingdom. Kai Meng Dai asked if they should immediately activate the portal to the secret realm under the Sacred Lord's crown in order to bring the disciples back sooner. Tai Suzai asked if she was worried about her student. Clicking her tongue, Kai Meng Dai said that she was just worried about the other students. Tai Suzai told her not to worry because she had already done everything, and in a maximum of 2 days the portal would contact the passage to the secret realm. The girl with black hair said that it would be very sad if they couldn't last even 2 days. Kai Meng Dai asked with a worried face where this scoundrel was. She thought it would be great if he was trampled by a demon monster. In the secret demonic realm, a crowd of demons were chasing a girl with blue hair. Su Ryu Siu, a true disciple of Yun Feng, ran with a dark-haired girl on her back. The protagonist, folding his arms across his chest, thought that if he allowed someone to die right in front of the divine eye, his plan to become God's son might fail. Grabbing the red sword in his hand, he mentally told them to consider themselves lucky. Shu landed on the ground next to Su Ryu Siu. Looking at him, she opened her mouth. Shu told her with a smile that he would help her solve this situation. Su Ryu Siu thought it was Chu, and it is said that he has reached the peak of the Tai Su Divine Tower, but he is only at the peak of the Ocean of Consciousness realm, while the weakest demons of the persecuting clan are in the Divine Bridge realm. Chu rushed to attack, and she thought that he would not be able to defeat these monsters and would die. Su Ryu Siu shouted no in concern. Blue energy flashed before her astonished face. Chu cut the demons into pieces with his sword one by one. He then straightened up, standing among the demon corpses lying on the ground. Su Ryu Siu thought that his fighting strength was simply incredible, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that he was the reincarnation of a divine demon. The main character asked her if she was okay. She thanked him for saving her and said that she was deeply grateful to him. An earth essence, Divine Risey, appeared in Chu's hand. He told her to take the medicine quickly because she was badly hurt. Su Ryu Siu said that this precious medicine is too valuable and she cannot take it. The main character told her not to be polite because the situation with the demonic clan is now critical, and if she does not heal her wounds quickly, she will be in even greater danger. He told her if she didn't want to take care of herself, think about her little sister. He said that if anything happened after they left this place, she could return the medicine to him. Su Ryu Siu thanked him and said that she would definitely repay him. The main character said that the outside will soon notice what is happening in the secret kingdom, and the elders will definitely open a portal to save them. He said that even if they took the medicine now, they would still need time to fully recover, and it was better for them to get to the teleportation portal and wait there until the portal opened. Su Ryu Siu asked if he would come with them. Chu said that he still has important things to do. He suggested we disperse here. Frowning, he thought that half of the stone mirror in his pocket was resonating even more strongly. The protagonist thought that in order to stay safe, it was better to take the demon child fruit and wait for the opportunity to improve their cultivation as soon as possible. Tai Su Square. The crowd looked at the picture of the main character, saying that he was amazing and was able to easily destroy that group of demons. Someone said that with just a wave of his hand, Chu gave away the earthly essence of divine medicine, and he is very generous. A girl with brown hair asked another girl if she thought Chu and Su Ryu Siu were suitable for each other. Tai Su Zai said that Chu is kind and incredibly talented, and his performance in the secret realm is very promising. Kai Meng Dai wondered what he was thinking because he made her worry so much. Demonic Secret Realm, Yinmo Mountain. The two guys in blue and red clothes said that if they took possession of this demon child fruit, their climax would advance to the divine manifest realm in a few seconds. Turning around, the guy in red clothes said that he heard footsteps behind them. They saw Chu smiling and he said that they really recognized him. He asked what they were doing here. The guy, using telepathic communication techniques, told the other that the demonic aura in this place was very heavy, and taking the demonic fruit now would be dangerous. He offered to let Chu help them take the fruit. The other guy agreed and said that if he picked the fruit, they would just divide it among themselves. He said that they wouldn't beat him one-on-one, but together they would definitely beat him. The blue-robed guy told Chu that he must have noticed this demon fruit, and it is very valuable. He offered to split it between the three of them if he would go and fetch it. The main character closed his eyes and said, "No chance." The guy told him not to force them to force him. He told him to just obediently help them rip it off and then perhaps they would spare him. The guy in red told him not to waste time on him. He said that he would use the 3 stars and 4 symbols formation to immobilize him, and he would not dare to refuse them anymore. The guys rushed to attack, asking him what he could do against them, because he was just in the realm of the ocean of consciousness. The guy in blue clothes used the 4-symbol imprisonment formation, and a blue circle with flags appeared under the protagonist's feet. The guy in red clothes swung his weapon, rushing to attack. Chu raised 2 fingers shrouded in yellow energy. A sword with a red blade appeared in his hand. Having struck the guy with purple energy, the main character quickly moved behind him. The guy in blue shouted, his eyes wide. Chu's focused gaze glowed red. He plunged his sword into the guy's chest. Smiling, he told him if he could be reborn, he would no longer become a hypocritical villain. The main character took the sword out of his body and the guys fell to the ground. Above his hand was a demon fruit. Putting it away in his bosom, Chu thought that this demonic fruit was really difficult to get enough of. He wondered how long it would take for the next soul fruit to mature. Systema said that unfortunately, in this secret realm, the demon child fruit will not appear again, and the owner really deserves to become an antagonist since he was able to take root and receive the reward of 500 breakthrough points. It asked if he was ready to make a breakthrough through the 10th level of the Ocean of Consciousness. The system said it had good and bad news for him. The main character said to speak. The dialogue box says, during your second breakthrough into the extreme realm, you will encounter the thunder of trouble. Chu asked loudly if this was a mistake. He asked if the thunder of happiness wasn't only for little holy empresses, and why he had to go through it too. The system said that it has been confirmed that his humble assistant has analyzed all possible events a total of 3 trillion times, and the probability that the master will encounter the thunder of misfortune is almost 100%. The system assumed that it was because his kingdom was too strong. It told him to be careful anyway, and if he could bear it, he would only become stronger, but if he couldn't, he would definitely die. Forest of ancient trees. Chu, placing his hand on his chest, thought that the closer he gets, the stronger the vibrations of the stone mirror, and the other half of the mirror must be somewhere nearby. Opening his eyes wide, he looked to the side. The crowd of demons ran furiously to the attack, shouting battle cries. The red demon said with a smirk as the mirror's reaction increased. He asked if the man with the other half of the mirror had come himself. Hiding behind a tree, Chu asked if one of the demons had the mirror. He thought that the mirror's reaction was very strong, and it seemed that the other half belonged to the leader of the demon clan. The main character asked the system if it was sure that he would meet with the thunder of misfortune. The system replied, absolutely sure. Smiling ominously, Chu said, oh well. There were many people at the teleportation site, surrounded by a dome of yellow magic. The main character was floating in the air on a nearby boat. Someone was begging for his older brother to be saved. The guy with his hand covered in bandages asked if anyone had a medicine to stop the bleeding. Another guy grabbed his head and asked when they could come back. Chu thought that there were many injured people here, and the demonic clan was going to wipe them out. He thought that he didn't expect them to be more cruel than him. The system said that this could only mean that he has room to grow, but now is not the time to think about it, because now he is being pursued by the Demon King and the Thunder of Misfortune. It asked if he had decided how to deal with them. The main character said that he had already decided, so there was no need to worry. An army of demons was visible through the magical barrier. Someone exclaimed that the demonic clan was coming after them, and their numbers were huge. The red demon began to swing his half of the mirror, spreading blue magic into the air. The guy said that the aura of these demons is at least at the last stage of the kingdom of the other shore, and they cannot cope with them. Someone said that he was able to pass through the Imperial Formation. He asked if the mirror in his hands was perhaps an Imperial artifact. The demon asked if they wanted to live or die. He told them, if they wanted to live, to bring him the person who possessed the other part of the mirror fragment. The main character, holding his half of the mirror in his hand, asked if this was what he was looking for. The crowd of people in the square looked at the main character through the image in the air. The girl in the green dress said that the demonic clan was looking for him. Kai Mengdai said that he attracted the demonic clan and put all the disciples in danger. She thought, why would he do something like that? She thought that the situation had gotten a lot worse, and there were two reasons for this. Either he was forced by other students, or he sacrificed himself and took the initiative into his own hands. Kai Mengdai thought that regardless of this, the outcome would be the same, and with his current strength, he would not be able to defeat the leader of the demonic clan. Sweating nervously, she wondered if they should use the plan the Emperor had made, because if that was the case, the demonic secret realm would be completely destroyed. Place of communication. Chu stood with a stone mirror in his hand. The guy behind him told him that he was a real student, because none of them, the older students, wanted to sacrifice themselves. Su Ryusu asked him if he really wanted to make Chu a victim. The guy with a grin told her that she was telling a lie, because Chu himself decided to sacrifice himself for the good. She asked if he thought that if they sacrificed Chu, those demons would let them live. She said that when meeting enemies, instead of uniting, he only abandons his fellow disciples to their fate, and such vile behavior only made the demonic clan look down on them. Humans. The red demon, folding his arms across his chest, said that he would give them up to 50 breaths before they would attack. The guy exclaimed that he did not want to die. Another guy, clutching his head, called for help. Another guy, folding his hands in prayer, asked Chu to save them because he couldn't be so heartless. He said that if he came out, they would not touch them. Su Ryusu looked at them in shock, and the main character put his hand on her shoulder. He thanked her with a smile and said that he was deeply grateful that she stood up for him in such a situation. He told her to rely on him. Chu left the magic dome, going towards the demons. Kai Mengdai asked if he was really going to face the demon clan alone. Clenching her hands into fists, she wondered if this was really his decision. The main character calmly stepped forward. The demon said with a wide smile that he was not bad, because at least he was braver than the others. Chu opened the box with the demon fruit. The demon exclaimed in amazement that the demon fruit was finally ripe. With his eyes widening, he ordered it to be quickly taken from his hands. Demons surrounded the protagonist, and the red demon ordered them to kill him. He said that those who could take the fruit from him would be rewarded. Taking a bite of the fruit, Chu said it was delicious. He activated a breakthrough in the system through the Tao scripture. The system reported that the host was found to possess a primordial sacred body and cultivate the scripture of the Father. Force takeover, 10,000 breakthrough points. The breakthrough is successful. 10,000 breakthrough points were absorbed in the process. Your ancient primordial sacred body has undergone a transformation. Your cultivation has reached the peak of the ocean of consciousness realm, reaching the 9th level of the divine bridge. The owner is about to meet with the thunder of misfortune. Please get ready. There was thunder and lightning flashing in it, and the dialogue box said, the thunder of misfortune will fall in 10 breaths. A huge spirit of a man sitting in the lotus position appeared above the main character. Shrouded in a yellow aura, Chu raised 2 fingers up. Smirking, shrouded in yellow energy, he said to taste the misfortune thunder combo. A giant yellow bolt of lightning struck the ground, scattering the demons to the sides. Chu stood in the center of the lightning, and the dialogue box praised him for deciding to gather hundreds of thousands of monsters in order to get rid of them all at once. The demons, shrouded in yellow light, dissolved into thin air. The protagonist's upper body was naked, and he was surrounded by yellow lightning. Looking at the stone mirror with a smile, he thought that he did not expect that this piece of mirror would help withstand thunderstorms. He thought that this mirror was unusual, and he needed to get the other half. With his eyes wide and his mouth open, Chu thought that he had completely forgotten about the monster. He wondered if anything would happen. A small yellow bird with a piece of red shell on its head angrily asked if he would be able to cope with all the adversity, because there were thunderstorms everywhere. The main character, frowning, asked what kind of bird it was. The bird told him to show respect or else she would kill him right then and there. Clutching the bird in his hand, he said he had better watch his words. The bird, apologizing, asked to let him go because he would break her bones. Chu told the bird to tell him who he is. He told him not to lie about the emperor or the 2nd generation bird god. The bird asked what the bird god was and if it could be eaten. Standing behind the main character, the red demon swung his sword. Chu asked, a sneak attack. He swung his sword, shrouded in red and purple energy. With a blow of the sword, the main character broke the demon's sword in half, and he opened his mouth in amazement. The bird exclaimed that he was quite strong. The demon let out a menacing roar, shrouded in a red aura. As soon as he rushed to attack, purple energy flashed towards him. Once behind him, Chu swung his sword with a calm face. People in the crowd exclaimed how incredible he was, and he actually defeated this demon single-handedly. Someone said that he remembered that this demon was at the peak of the other shore stage, but he couldn't even resist it. People in Taisu Square watched what was happening, saying that Chu borrowed the lightning tribulation to kill the demon. The girl, covering her mouth with her hand, said that she had never seen such terrifying lightning. She asked how he did it. The girl in yellow clothes asked how he could control lightning, because he was only in the Sea of Consciousness stage. Tai Suzai asked Kai Mengdai if she saw it. Kai Mengdai said, golden-colored aura mixed with lotus illusions. She said that Chu has a remote antiquity holy body from legends. She said that it was not surprising that his cultivation speed was slow at the beginning. Tai Suzai said that the fact that Chu was able to surpass the curse of holy bodies unable to cultivate, and to date, the Holy Land has still not chosen a holy child. She said that once Chu returns, they will make his child Taisu a saint. Kai Mengdai exclaimed in amazement. Tai Suzai asked if she was against it. Kai Mengdai said no. Looking up, she said that all things related to the holy child should be discussed with the peak master first. And what's more, Chu's cultivation is too low right now, so discontent will definitely arise. She thought furiously that this traitorous disciple had a chance to become a holy child. Tai Suzai said that she understood her concerns, but after what Chu did today, she believed that the other masters would not be against her proposal. She said that, moreover, he has a good character and is a very kind child. Kai Meng Dai frowned and thought that she simply did not see how he behaved with her. Teleportation Square. The main character stood in front of the magical barrier. Exhaling, he wiped the sweat from his forehead. Su Ryusu asked if he was okay. Chu smiled, thanked her for her concern and said that he was not injured. Yifan thought that he was really strong, and he became just an observer again. The crowd chanted the name of Chu, who killed the demon. Noticing Yifan, the main character asked him what was on his shoulder. There was a white snake sitting on his shoulder, and Yifan said with a smile that this is a spiritual beast he just tamed. Chu thought that he had defeated that giant snake in Treasure Land. He thought that, as expected of the protagonist, he still managed to obtain the spiritual beast despite it consuming most of his destiny. Yifan asked what was on his shoulder. The main character said that this is Jai Tame, and as he can see, it is just a chicken and can be considered a pet. Jai Tame, cursing angrily, told him to show respect. He asked who gave him permission to give him a name. He shouted that he himself was a chicken, and his whole family were chickens too. Holding Jai Tame in his hand, Chu apologized to Yifan with a smile. Yifan said with an awkward smile that this is an interesting beast. The main character said that the teleportation formation will activate after a while. He suggested that we first rest a little and prepare for returning to the Holy Land. 3 days later, Taisu Holy Land, Chu Room. While meditating, he told the system that he still had not received his rewards for breaking through a realm. The system reported that it was found to be broken through a realm and received special rewards. Remote Antiquity Holy Body Cultivation Law Part 1. Type: Martial Technique, Divine Grade. After cultivating this cultivation law, the remote antiquity holy body will be able to cultivate to the low saint stage. The system asked if it wanted to use cultivation law now. The dialog box says, the system has detected that your remote antiquity holy body can be improved further. Do you wish to continue breaking through? Chu said yes. Putting his hand on his head, he said that breaking through the holy body and breaking through a realm is really different. And this feeling of being completely drained is terrible. He decided to stop for today. The dialog box says, cultivation has stopped. 100 breakthrough points used for the cultivation of the holy body. After throwing several yellow balls into his mouth, Chu said that it looks like he will have to prepare more elixirs next time when he breaks through his holy body. Looking at the stone mirror, he said that it looked like this too was ready. He asked the system if it knew how to use this mirror. The system said he had found a treasure. It said that the stone mirror has a very high rank. It is at least a Saint Lord's artifact, or even a pseudo-emperor's artifact. However, it is not yet complete. There are 2 types of functions. Function 1, Blue Light Suppression Domain, which can slow down the enemy's movement speed or even directly immobilize them when facing them. Function 2, Communication. The host can take out a high-quality elemental stone experimentation. Chu looked at the stone mirror, which was glowing slightly. In the mirror it was written, Sequence 6. Welcome to Primordial. Your sequence is extremely advanced and your permission level far exceeds that of ordinary people. We will open the following functions for you for free: Chat Channel, Starry Sky Course, Secret Land, Private Trading Space, Sparring Field, Cultivation Treasure Land, the Battlefield of 10,000 Ethnic Groups, Other to be unlocked. To activate the teleportation function, a large amount of energy will be consumed. Please prepare elemental stones or divine elemental stones. The main character thought that it looked like he would get something incredible. He opened the chat channel by pressing a key. The chat channel had 6 users discussing exchanging items and helping in a difficult situation. Shu thought that he had never heard of these clans before. Rubbing his chin thoughtfully, he thought about what taming Great Plains and Primordial was. He thought that there were no such places on the Tianqiang continent. Someone asked if this was the same beast that Chu had recently tamed. Turning around, Chu saw Taoyao standing in the doorway with a smile. Chu's backyard. Holding Jai Tai in her hands, she exclaimed with a smile that it was a cute little chicken. Jai Tame, irritably making an obscene gesture, told her to be more respectful to him, otherwise he would eat her. Laughing, Taoyao asked that little one like him would eat her. Jai Tame angrily said that once he achieves enlightenment, he will definitely take her as his slave and use Chu as a riding animal. Taoyao asked the main character if he had finished his seclusion. She said that she had heard that he was able to get a spiritual pet and came specifically to see it, but did not expect it to be so interesting. She asked where he found this second-rate spiritual pet. Jai Tame shouted displeasedly that he was not a spiritual pet. Throwing it behind her, Chu told her not to pay attention to that stinking chicken. He asked her if there was anything else she wanted to discuss with him. Flower petals were blown through the air by the wind. Taoyao thanked him for his hospitality and said that she had a heartless request. She asked if, when he was free, he could tell her sisters about what he learned in the secret realm, because everyone really wanted to know about it. The main character said yes. Taoyao pressed the pink handkerchief to Chu's chest. She asked to accept it and said that this was her token of regard. The main character exclaimed in confusion, and Taoyao, turning away in embarrassment, told him to rest because it was getting late. Smelling the handkerchief, Chu thought it smelled like peach blossoms. Smiling, he thought that this was a good gift, but it could not compare with the master's scent. Kneeling down, the main character turned to Jaitame with a smile and said, "I almost forgot." Jaitame asked fearfully what he wanted. Chu said that he still hasn't told him what he is. He told him, in addition, to tell him what the connection was between the egg from which he was born and the stone mirror. Jaitame looked away and said that according to inheritance memory, it seems that he is a member of the Divine Crow clan. He said he didn't know if it was somehow related to the stone mirror. The main character said that he guessed correctly from the very beginning, and he is indeed a member of the Divine Crow clan. Jaitame said that the Divine Clan is one of the imperial clans, and he must bow to it. Chu said that he left some rabbit meat for him to eat. Jaitame said that someone came to see him and she left after seeing him in seclusion. Chu asked who it was. Jaitame said that I think her name was Huoluofai, and she said that she would meet him at the same place in 3 days. Chu smiled thoughtfully. He turned around and started to leave, and Jaitame asked where he was going to go so late. The main character, looking at him and raising his index finger, said that curiosity killed the cat. He told him not to ask too many questions. Closing his eyes, Chu thought that he had made a breakthrough in his cultivation today, and that had spent a lot of his energy. He thought that he should find his master to make up for it. Cave residence. Kai Mengdai was sleeping, sitting on a throne with pillows. Opening her eyes, she tensed her eyebrows and wondered why this traitorous disciple was here again. Straightening up, she asked him why he was not resting in his room at such a late hour, and came to her. The main character said with a grin that he hadn't seen her for a few days, so he thought she missed him. He said that her aptitude is still lacking. He asked her to guide and teach him. Chu thought that she really owned the fragrant body of heaven, and just sitting there naturally emits a tempting fragrance of orchids. He approached her and Kai Mengdai told him not to be disrespectful. The main character said that since her student came, the master should not miss this wonderful moment. He asked her to go with him to the sleeping chamber. 6 hours later, the dialogue box says, detected that you have an unsealed connection with the fragrant body of heaven master. Your cultivation aptitude plus 200. The same dialogue box appeared 3 more times. Your aptitude has reached 2214. Kai Mengdai lay trembling on the bed. The main character straightened his clothes. As he left the room, he turned around. Tired Kai Mengdai lay with a slight smile on her face. Tiredly lowering his head and exhaling, Chu said that women are terrifying. He thought that if he knew, he would have sealed her cultivation. The system said that he did not expect this from the owner, and even the ancient primordial body had difficulty coping with it. It said with a grin that things were bad, and despite the fact that he had natural talent, he could not cope with her. The main character frowned and swore at the system. Looking up, he wondered what happened to the master today, because her cultivation was not sealed, but she did not resist. After 3 days, Chu was sitting under a colorful tree next to a fire where meat was being roasted. Putting his face on his hand, he thought that during these 3 days spent with the master, he had gained a lot of strength for cultivation, and soon he would be able to get a breakthrough in it. Frowning, he wondered why his sister had called him today. The main character thought that, in any case, when he meets her, he will be able to test her, because he cannot always achieve his power by force. A spirit mouse appeared in front of him, drooling as it looked at the roasting meat. Chu looked at the mouse with a menacing look, and it twitched in fear. The girl, appearing nearby, said that he looked too scary and scared the little creature. Huoluofai walked up to him with a smile, and the main character told her that she seemed to have misunderstood everything, and this animal was simply too meek, and he only glanced at it a couple of times. She sat down next to him. Huoluofai asked what was wrong and why was he looking at her like that. Chu asked if she had any suitable suitors. Closing her eyes, she said that as a disciple's cultivation progressed, her appearance would become closer to the natural true laws, causing her to become more beautiful. She said that her appearance in the cultivation world is not the most outstanding, so it is not surprising that she does not have many fans. The main character said with a smile that they were just blind, and in his eyes she was very beautiful. He said that it reminded him of a poem. Huoluofai asked, which one? Looking at the night sky, Chu said, clothes are mere thoughts in the clouds. Face is a blossom in mind. Spring breeze brushes the threshold. Dewdrops glisten, rich and defined. If we hadn't met on the hill of rosy glow, we would have encountered under the moon's pristine shine. Hua Luofei said that she didn't expect him to write poems, and it is a good poem, but it is not as good as his lines. The main character happily thought that his knowledge of Chinese literature was not in vain. He turned to Hua Luofei. Looking into her face, he asked with a smile if he could become her fan, since he really liked her. Hua Luofei chuckled and said that he was already talking about such things at such a young age. She asked if he knew how old she was. He said she was an adult. Hua Luofei exclaimed that when she asked what was bothering him, she didn't think that he would turn out to be such a seducer. The main character said that appreciating female beauty is the right of any man, and she cannot suppress his rights as men. And, moreover, age is not a problem at all because, as they say, a woman in her 30 seconds is like pure gold. Hua Luofei said that she must be 3,000 years older than him. Chu said with a serious face that the difference of 3,000 years puts her above other women, and if she marries him, he will be incredibly rich for the rest of his life. He said he was absolutely serious and this was not a joke. Smiling, Hua Luofei asked if he was trying to flirt with her. The main character said that this is not flirting, but unbearable charm, and, besides, he is not so young anymore. Smiling, he handed her a piece of meat and asked if she would like to try the creation of his skills. After taking a bite of meat, Hua Luofei said that it was not bad. Chu said that this spirit beast has a low cultivation level and tastes wonderful, and it is also said that the meat of wild beasts in the great sacred realm tastes amazing. He said that when his cultivation became higher in the future, he would hunt and kill great sacred wild beasts and cook for her. He took the green bottle in his hand. Turning to her, the main character asked if she would have a drink with him. Hua Luofei said that she is not very good at drinking. While pouring the liquid into the glass, Chu told her to just drink with him, and it was a wine from his homeland called Moxangyi. Hua Luofei said that she had heard about it, and this wine is very famous in the Tianqi dynasty. Looking at the sky, she said, Moxangyi, when the yellow sand is understood, the roads are crowded with tired horses. Relationships, clothes with drops of tears. Moxangyi, at sunset, the entire road in the mountains is covered with yellow dust. Leaving with difficulty, you look into the past, holding sadness in your heart. The main character continued, do not betray your heart to a relationship. In the distance the stars look at each other from a distance of countless miles. It's always better to turn around and solve everything. Hua Luofei hugged him and asked if he was homesick, since Moxangyi's poem did not say anything about distant stars. She asked if he wasn't one of those lonely stars. The main character laughed and said that the reference to distant stars in Moxangyi's poem was a creative idea based on the legendary figure who created Moxangyi wine. He said that the story was rumored to have originated from an ancient star of extraterrestrial life, and this was his idea. Continuing to drink, Hua Luofei said, I see. Chu said that he really doesn't know how to drink. He asked if she was already drunk. She said with a smile, a little. She congratulated him on the fact that he would soon become a new saint. Chu asked if she has much strength, being a saint. She replied, enough, I think. The main character ran his hand along her waist. He asked with a smile what if he went to the holy lady and asked her to betroth them. Hua Luofei said that she felt that the holy lady would not agree. The main character said that they won't know unless they try. Hua Luofei suggested not to talk about what is not there. After all, the holy lady shoots lightning at everyone wherever she is, and during the holy sun's ceremony, there will definitely be people who want to test him, so he better be prepared for it. Sacred lands of Tesu. The wind carried green leaves from the trees through the air. The man said that his elder brother heard from the second peak elder that Chu had become a divine son. The other man said that he remembered that Chu had only recently reached the divine bridge level, and there were many disciples with higher cultivation than him. He asked why they chose him as their divine son. The bald man shouted that it was obvious that Chu would become a divine son. The girl said that this was to be expected from Chu. The guy said that Chu will truly become a divine son. Another guy, clutching his head, asked why him and not them. Xiaoyi Peak Hall. A guy with long white hair angrily smashed a cup on the floor and asked how he could become a divine son. Clenching his fist, he asked about how, just to become a direct disciple of Peak Yunzia, he participated in the Shadow Wars, and he was appointed as a divine son just like that. He exclaimed why heaven is so unfair. Frowning and gritting his teeth, the guy said that he would show him who was worthy of this title. The main character stood among the rocks opposite two girls. The girls, embarrassed, bowed and greeted him. Chu saw one girl say that the fourth master of the endless blade worlds had brought his two favorite disciples to the meeting. saying that they would defeat the divine sun at the heavenly stages and continue their ascension. Another said that she had heard of these two, Lan Qinfei and Lan Zuyu, a twin pair, both having sword charters, and they could earn respect among the younger generations. The white-robed girl said that in addition to the endless blade worlds, there is a child with the divine charter of the emperor who comes from the Jiang family, and he will also try to prevent the divine sun from setting foot on the steppes. Another girl said that there is also a special tired from the sacred lands of Tai. The girl in the white dress exclaimed in amazement that even such an incredible charter was also involved in this. She said that there were too many elites and a new great era was coming. The girl in the yellow dress sighed and said that she didn't even know if Chu could resist these elites. The girl in the white dress said that she was sure that he would be smashed to smithereens, disgracing the honor of their lands. The main character thought with a smile that, as they said, the ceremony of the divine sun would be exciting. He stood on top of one of the rocks. Chu said while looking up that if you think about it, the current events are tightly connected with the infinite blade worlds, and he remembers them 20 years ago. Their divine son and daughter were also twins. He said that the brother's name was Feng Tingyang, who was a fool who looked down on everyone, believing that he was invincible. He looked down on those who were not members of the sect, such as Chu, and he scolded him, saying that he was the last villain, after which he blocked his passage to the tower, and Huan, the main character, killed him in the middle of the Western River. The sister's name was Feng Xiao, and this beautiful girl, in order to take revenge on him, chased him along that very river. He still remembers the hatred and hurt in her eyes before he beheaded her. Rubbing his chin thoughtfully, Chu said that after that, he was also chased by maniacs from the endless blade worlds, and the same twins hunting him this time must be the new divine children of this generation. The system, laughing, said that he was a killer of divine children. Archive building. The building was surrounded by yellow magic seals. The main character said that this light is a combination of the 5-element formation at the peak of the 7th grade, and prevention, trap, illusion, killing and life are the 5 formations of the 7th grade. He said that as long as the victim is imprisoned inside, he is alive, the formation will be endless and take a long time to recover. Chu said that even a supreme deity stage disciple would die if he tried to interfere with this formation, and it would take a lot of strength for the divine king to leave this formation without harming his life if he was imprisoned in it. The girl who appeared in front of him said that he was wrong, because this formation was studied by emperors, and even the sacred kings inside would suffer. The protector of the archive territory, Elder Su Jin, a girl with yellow eyes and straight dark hair, looked at him with an indifferent expression. After bowing, Chu said his name and said that he was a direct disciple of Yunzia Peak. Su Jin said her name and said that she was the protector of the archive yard. The main character said that he would like to ask her to open the archive gate for him. Su Jin turned around and showed him the way. Chu thought that there were many beautiful girls to be seen in the sacred lands of Taisu. The inside of the archive building was full of bookshelves. The main character looked thoughtfully at the pedestal. On the pedestal was a piece of paper on which were written the rules of the archive, specifically who could enter which floors of the building. Chu went up to the 7th floor of the archive courtyard. Yifan turned to the girl sitting on the chair and asked if this 3 Kings cultivation technique could be cheaper because he did not have such a fee. The manager of the ancient scrolls, without looking up from the book, said that if his contribution was not enough, replenish it and only then return. Yifan asked if she could be a little kinder. The manager said no. Placing the book on the table, he obeyed. Turning around, he exhaled, looking disappointed. The main character turned to Yifan. Yifan said that he saw the cultivation technique he wanted to get, but he doesn't have enough deposit, so he can't borrow it, which is sad. He asked him to lend him some if he had enough contribution points, and he would return them to him in a few days. The main character apologized and said that he also needed to borrow some scrolls with more points. Yifan, rubbing the back of his head, apologized for the trouble and said that he would borrow from other students. Looking at him, Chu wondered if he needed the cultivation technique that much, and if he had found something good again. He approached the manager girl, who was still reading a book. He asked her how many points he needed to read the 3 Kings cultivation technique. The manager, turning to him, said that this scroll requires 50,000 units of contribution for exchange, but if he wants to read it, he can take it for free. The main thing is not to take it from the archive. The main character, scratching the back of his head, smiled and thanked her, but said that breaking the rules of sacred lands is not good. He thought that he was now so famous that he could solve problems in the sacred lands of Taisu with just his face. The manager took the book in her hand. Approaching Chu, she said that the rules are dead, but people are alive. She told him to take the book and find a place where he could scratch in peace. The main character thanked her. Inside the cultivation hall, top rank body cultivation technique. Chu wondered why Yifan was in such a hurry to borrow this book. As he flipped through the pages, he noticed that one of the pages was thicker than the others. Rubbing his chin, he wondered how Yifan noticed this feature if he had never opened this book. He wondered if he had a golden eye. The page of the book was divided into two. Taking out something yellow between the pages, Chu exclaimed that it was sacred silk. Legend has it that this material is incredibly strong and almost priceless. It remains unappreciated for millions of years, and in this era it is impossible to find anything like it. He thought that it was a pity that he was too little here, but the information recorded about him could be very valuable. The main character thought that he had luck this time too. White energy gathered around the sacred silk that hovered above his palm. Martial techniques and moves appeared in the protagonist's mind one after another. The dialogue boxes say, "You have realized the true calling behind the Emperor's Man strike. The owner can spend breakthrough points to save insight for a breakthrough. Emperor's Man punch, type, hand technique, rank, divine, final move, break all techniques in one hit, destructive power, 6 stars. An Emperor level cultivator wrote about the movement of the Emperor's mantra on the divine silk, expecting some lucky person to discover this writing. The physical strength required to cultivate this striking technique is high, and a single strike can unleash royal ferocity to destroy any formation." Chu thought that this was a very powerful striking technique, capable of destroying any formation. And when his cultivation was enough, he would implement it into the sword technique, it's over and become invincible. He thought with a smile that he remembered that Yifan was friends with Chan Lingyun, and why not leave them a small gift? He corrected the inscription to an image of a map with the caption, "This place is very dangerous. It is better not to go there alone." Chu thought that Yifan had great luck and he would not die so easily, but for Chan Lingyun it was different. As he approached the huge white house, pulling his hair into a ponytail, he thought that he was in a great mood today, so he should get a couple of lessons from his master. The main character heard Kai Meng Dai swearing at her student. He looked out the window with a smile. She was stabbing a Chu-like doll with a large needle, and the main character thought that this crazy woman seemed like she needed to be taught a lesson. He swung the doors open, and Kai Meng Dai wondered in amazement why this terrible disciple had come so early. Chu sat next to her and asked what she just did. He grabbed her waist and she looked away embarrassed. The protagonist asked if she shouldn't welcome a student like him with open arms. Inside the cultivation hall, Yifan sat at a low table, joyfully taking the sacred silk out of the book. He thought that there was a secret message here after all. He glanced at the message the main character had corrected. Yifan thought that it was better not to go there alone. A million mountains. Yifan, approaching a deep hole in the ground, told Chan Lingyun that they had arrived and the treasure was here. Smiling, he thought that he had just made a breakthrough to move to the next level, but he was still not that strong, so he invited him, the rather strong Chan Lingyun, and together they could take the treasure. He thought that, in addition, Chan Lingyun would be grateful to him when he received the treasure, and would be in his debt. Chan Lingyun put his hand on his shoulder and said with a smile that he would not forget his generosity. He thought with an ominous smile, so what if Chu becomes a sacred son? He thought that once he got the treasure and increased his cultivation, he would crush him like a bug again. They entered the cave. Yifan asked why he felt like there was something wrong with this place. Chan Lingyun said that he also has this feeling. He asked if he was sure there was treasure here. They thought maybe there were opportunities hiding behind the dangers. The entrance to the cave was surrounded by green trees. A hand emerged from the cave entrance, covered in wounds. Yifan crawled to the surface and said that there are no treasures here, only traps. Gritting his teeth, he thought that he was glad he had a teleportation item. Otherwise he would already be dead. He mentally told Chan Lingyun to rest in peace and apologized for not being able to save him. The silk with the note fell to the ground. Stomping his foot on the note in irritation, Yifan cursed angrily. Yun Zia-Peak, the white-haired guy exclaimed in amazement that Chan Lingyun was dead. Yun Zia-Peak's third disciple, Wu Hongying, said that he probably went on an adventure with Yifan and died. She said that she sees that he has not been feeling well lately. She asked why not see the master, perhaps he could help him. The guy shouted that he was fine. The main character, with his hands folded behind his back, asked them with a smile what they were talking about. The guy said they were discussing whether he could attend the Sacred Sun ceremony. He shouted that Chu had been having too much luck lately. She said that he would tell him the good news that Chan Lingyun had died. The main character, closing his eyes, asked how this could be called good news, because Jan Lingyun was from our sacred lands, and they should be sad about his loss. The guy, folding his arms across his chest, exclaimed that this sounded very insincere. Jai Tame told him that his junior must be very weak, and he seemed like a sissy from the very beginning. The guy angrily asked where this chicken came from, who also dares to grin without hiding his emotions. He shot something from his hand. Jai Tame looked fearfully at the corner approaching at high speed. Chu deflected the needle, and it flew in the opposite direction, flying next to the guy's face. The guy thought that he wanted to kill the chicken to embarrass Chu, but didn't expect that he could catch the needle. He wondered when this trash became so strong, and if he practiced any secret techniques. The main character, with a threatening expression on his face, asked if he considered him an easy opponent since he tried to kill his pet in front of him. The guy asked if he wanted to fight him right now. Wu Hongyin told the main character not to misunderstand him. She told him not to waste his time, because he was going to the Sacred Sun ceremony. The guy, spreading his hands, said that he was a generous person, so he would not quarrel with the chicken. Kai Mengdai told the main character to come to her palace. Bowing, he said that the master was calling him, so he was leaving. Kai Mengdai Castle. Chu, standing in front of her, bowed and asked why she was looking for him. A robe appeared in front of Kai Mengdai and she told him to wear it when he stepped onto the sacred stairs. The main character asked if she was worried about him. Kai Mengdai frowned and told him not to be so shameless, and she was just worried that he would embarrass her to death. Chu looked at her legs stacked on top of each other. Touching her leg, he thanked her for the gift and said that he would definitely repay her. Kai Mengdai asked what he was doing. Rising from her seat, she said that it was time to go, and she would take him to the ceremony of the Holy Sun. The main character obeyed. Jai Tame thought why his master was so angry. Kai Mengdai, throwing the scroll to the main character, told him to look. Chu looked at the scroll in his hand. The letter read, Jiang Family, Divine Emperor Charter, Jiangzhu, Hidden Dragon Rank 2nd Seat, Taiyi Sacred Lands, Taiyi Path Charter, Hidden Dragon 3rd Seat, Endless Blade Worlds, Double Blade Rank Charter, Qingfeng Zhu Yu, 1st Hidden Rank Dragon Seat, Southern Realm of the Shangong Family, Natural Divine Eyes, Shangong Hao, 8th Hidden Rank Dragon Seat. Kai Mengdai said that they would be his obstacles while he climbed the sacred steps, and that was the only way she could help him. The main character thanked her with a smile for the warning and said that he knew that she loved him. Kai Mengdai, wearing a mask, said that he was acting like an ignoramus. She told him to just go. Ceremony of the Sacred Sun of Taisu Peak. Kai Mengdai and Chu were floating on a boat above the arena. Someone said that Peak Master Yunzia was as beautiful as the rumors said, and nothing less could be expected from the divine fragrant body. The great saint descendant of the Jiang family told his disciple that this is Chu, the one to whom the obstacles will be directed today. Jiang Zhu said that he knows about this and he is confident of his victory. Kai Daozai, rubbing his beard, said that he sees in his face the fate of imminent death, but somehow he is still alive. Zhui said that today is the ceremony of the Sacred Sun of Taisu Lands. He asked if he was afraid that his master would hit him for doing something like that. The 4th Blade Master of the World's Endless Blade said that he looks familiar, and his appearance may have changed, but his face is 50% similar to the face of the Chu demon. Long Qingfeng of the Endless Blades of the World told him not to worry, because even if he is truly a Chu demon, he will cut him into pieces today. The young guy said that today he must climb the sacred steps. The older man thought with a smile that Hao looked a lot like his father in his youth, and even had the same confidence. Tiana, waving his hand, announced the beginning of the ceremony. He said that the sacred sun would cross the bridge of his knowledge and walk along the sacred steps. Tai Suzai floated in the air, surrounded by a blue magic circle. A line of red energy ran through the air, flying over the surrounding forests. The line connected the square with the sacred steps, forming a bridge of personal knowledge. Bridge of personal knowledge. Overcome the remorse directed straight to the heart. The main character stepped onto the bridge. If the sacred sun brings ominous thoughts to the sacred lands, he will fall from the bridge. Chu smiled confidently. If the heart of a sacred sun is unstable and shaken by the mortal world, it will be painful for him to step on the bridge. Cranes flew over the bridge of personal knowledge. The main character walked forward, closing his eyes in concentration. He thought that the bridge of personal knowledge tests the mind, and if the mind is weak, then walking across the bridge will be painful. A girl in red clothes with dark hair in the protagonist's memories grabbed his wounded hand and told him to run because they were coming for him. Many men with torches and swords ran after them. The girl and Chu ran through the night forest. Hiding among the trees, they tried to catch their breath. Gritting his teeth, Chu said that he would become the strongest, stronger than anyone in the world, and because he no longer wanted to be humiliated. The girl touched his face with her hands. Looking him straight in the eyes, she said that she would always be with him. The same girl, clenching her fists next to Chu, who had closed his eyes, said that he had become different, more heartless and cruel. Placing her hand on her chest, she asked why she had to leave, because she did not want to join any sect. She said they could just die together. The main character stood on the bridge without moving. The guy asked why he wasn't coming. Another guy asked if he might not even be able to cross the bridge. Kai Meng Dai wondered why he wasn't moving with a worried face. The girl in red clothes shouted to him that he should come and get her and she would be waiting. Frowning, Chu thought that he had not even thought that 50 years had passed since their promise. Shrouded in yellow energy, he walked forward resolutely. Someone exclaimed that he was walking at incredible speed. Chu's arms and legs were shrouded in yellow energy, and someone asked how strong his mind was if he walked across the bridge so fast, and how strong he was that he couldn't take a step for half an hour. Kai Meng Dai thought that with his terrible style, he should not be bound by earthly shackles, and he must have remembered his parents who died from the clutches of monsters. Tao Yao began cheering loudly for him. Kai Meng Dai asked her if she liked Chu. After falling silent, Tao Yao glanced at her. Blushing embarrassedly, she said that she would like to become a couple with Chu. Kai Meng Dai said that she does not agree to this union. Tao Yao asked why she didn't agree if she and her brother weren't both engaged. Kai Meng Dai folded her arms and said that no means no. She asked if she could just listen to her master. She raised 2 fingers up and they were enveloped in blue energy. Kai Meng Dai told her that Chu is not a good person. Tao Yao, gritting his teeth, said, "That means you are like that." She shouted that she was insulting Chu so that she would not want to be with him. Kai Meng Dai twitched in shock. She asked if she didn't trust her master. Tao Yao frowned and said that she still believed her, but not as much as Chu. Kai Meng Dai said that she and Chu are both terrible students. She wondered why she never believed her when she told the truth. She wondered what had happened to this world. Tao Yao frowned and said that she must have some misunderstanding about Chu, and there is not a single elder, executive or disciple who does not praise him, and he has always been kind and fair to everyone, even outer court disciples. With her hands folded in front of her, she said that everyone gives a thumbs up when they talk about Chu, and everyone agrees that he is right and fair. Kai Meng Dai said not to believe them because it is just a pretense and in reality his heart is cruel. She told her not to think about arguing with her because she couldn't become a couple with him no matter how much she defended him, and she would never approve of their marriage. Tao Yao shouted that she was the peak master of Yunzia Peak. She asked how she could do something like break up couples. Someone shouted that the sacred son had crossed the bridge of personal knowledge within an hour. The man exclaimed that Chu had broken the records of the past. Tiana told Kai Meng Dai that her disciple is not bad, and his heart is as resilient as stone. He asked how she taught him. Kai Meng Dai, frowning nervously, said that she was just giving him a couple of directions when she was free, and most of this was probably his own understanding. Someone has announced the main event, and Chu is about to ascend the heavenly steps. Clenching his fists, the main character resolutely looked up. Tiana asked the Sacred Son's challengers to show themselves. Long Qingfeng and the dark-haired girl rushed forward. Zhui asked his master not to blame him if he lost. His master told him to go no matter whether he wins or loses. The bald man sent Jiang Zhu forward and said that he was invulnerable. Shang Gonghao flexed his wrists, and the girl in the white dress exclaimed that he was very handsome. She asked the other girl if she knew who he was. The girl said that this is Shang Gonghao, the Kai family's fiancé. She said that he wanted to get favors from the Kai family by stepping on Tai Su's face. The challengers stood opposite the protagonist, ready to fight. Chu said with a sly grin that he has quite a lot of challengers. Looking at Long Qingfeng and the dark-haired girl, he thought that these must be the Long twins from Unlimited Blade Realms. Looking at the bald guy, he thought that this must be the legendary divine constitution of Jiangzhu. Chu thought he looked quiet and uninteresting. Zhui said with a smile that he was just here to participate, and he didn't have to pay attention to him. The main character thought that this guy is not bad, and he is polite, so he can go easy on him. Shang Gonghao called out to the main character with a grin. Turning around, Chu thought that this guy was obviously a show-off, and there was nothing to be afraid of. Long Qingfeng jumped forward and said with a smile to start already because he couldn't wait any longer. The girl asked him to wait for her. Heaven's staircase. Long Qingfeng and his sister were flying in the air, standing on their swords. Zhui floated in the air with a relaxed face, standing on a stream of yellow energy. Jiangzhu climbed up the rocks. The protagonist said with a smile that they were all demonstrating their skills and he couldn't underestimate them. Shang Gonghao apologized and said that he was in a hurry, so they had better finish here quickly. He said he would let him have a few moves. Chu agreed with a smile and suggested finishing quickly. One viewer asked if the Shandong family became arrogant after they came into contact with the Kai family. Another spectator shouted that if Chu lost to Shandong on the first step, wouldn't it be humiliating for the Taisu Holy Land? The guy shouted that this guy was looking down on the sacred son of their territory and he needed to be killed. Shang Gonghao said that his weapon is a fan. He asked Chu to take out his weapon. Bowing his head, he smiled ominously. The main character grinned widely. Shrouded in red energy, he quickly rushed forward, holding out his hand. The guy exclaimed in amazement that Chu was very fast. The main character, grabbing Shang Gonghao by the throat, asked if he wanted to stand up by stepping on him and let him have a few moves. He asked if he dared to show off in front of him. The guy, clutching his fan, asked, not the face. Chu kicked him in the face and he fell. The audience laughed contentedly. Tai Suzai raised 2 fingers, shrouded in purple energy. Violet energy enveloped Shang Gonghao, and he exclaimed that he was bound by something. He called his grandfather for help. Tai Suzai, opening her eyes, said, keep. Shang Gonghao fell to the ground with force. His grandfather approached him worriedly. Tai Suzai said that Tai Su's dignity cannot be humiliated, and anyone who dares to do so will be expelled. Shang Gong Kinghong, folding his hands on his chest, said with a smile to Kai Chang Shu that the Kai family found a pretty good in-law to dare act against this holy sun on Tai Su's holy sun ceremony. He asked if they have divine guts. Kai Chang Shu said not to add fuel to the fire because it has nothing to do with the Kai family. Tai Suzai, folding her hands on her chest, said that the sacred sun will continue to climb heaven's staircase. Shu thought that Shandong family is almost riding her face, and he must have taken it out for her. He thought that he didn't expect this Shandong Hao to be so fragile. The main character continues to climb the steps. Someone shouted that the twin sword constitution was going to fight the sacred son of Tai Su. He said that, unlike the child from the Shandong family, they are ranked first on the hidden dragon rank. He asked if he could defeat this pair of siblings. The main character smiled and said that they really had wonderful names, but they threatened to kill him before they even set foot on the sacred land of Tai Su. He said that he really didn't understand how he could offend them. Long Qingfeng asked if they needed a reason to want to kill him. His sister said if he needed a reason, blame his parents for giving him the same name as that old demon Chu. The protagonist asked if this was their reason for wanting to kill him. He asked what era they were living in to have such a mindset. Drawing a sword glowing with yellow energy, Long Qingfeng said that talking was useless and it was time to kill him. His sister unsheathed her sword, glowing with blue energy. Shu thought that this was the legendary moon-chasing snow sword, and by itself, it looks like a heavenly sword, but when the two of them are combined, it reaches immortal level power. Smirking, he thought that with his body at the moment, he could not defend against these two swords, and if he forced himself to fight with his fists, he would only get hurt. Long Qingfeng and his sister charged, swinging their swords. Shu, whose eyes glowed red, said, secret skill. A sword shrouded in purple and red energy appeared in his hand and he charged. The main character swung his sword, which left a purple trail behind it. The girl thought that she could not keep track of his sword at all. She lost her balance and Long Qingfeng called out to her in concern. The girl landed on the ground, touching it with her hand. She called out to her brother, who was exchanging sword blows with the main character. The main character struck with force with his sword, leaving a crater in the ground from the impact. Long Qingfeng told Chu to attack them again, and he would definitely kill him with their sword. The girl, appearing behind the main character, swung her sword to attack. Chu said with a grin that she was very threatening. He slammed the hilt of his sword into her stomach. The blow threw the girl aside and she screamed. After catching his sister who was bleeding from her mouth, Long Qingfeng with a green bottle in his hand told her to drink this medicine, and it would quickly stop the bleeding. Rushing into the attack, the main character wondered if they still had time to take the medicine. Placing each other's fingers together, Long Qingfeng and his sister, enveloped in intertwining streams of blue and orange energy, said, die. A long scroll appeared above them, and many ghostly blue swords stabbed into the ground. The main character looked at the swords falling from the sky. Jui said that this is Twin Sword Skill, Clear Wave Sword Song. The audience exclaimed in shock that they could actually do something like that. The guy said that Chu would not be able to withstand such a strong attack. Long Qingfeng and his sister used Clear Wave Sword Song while hovering above the ground in the lotus position. Chu asked if they decided to use it to pressure him. Smirking, he thought that when it came to fighting against him, there was no way he could lose, and this ancient holy body specialized in such skills. Raising his 2 index fingers upward, he used Chaos Branch Purple Lotus, and a huge dark lotus appeared above his head. The main character said with a smile that as soon as the purple lotus appears, everyone is defeated. There was a huge purple explosion. Long Qingfeng and his sister, unable to withstand the strong rush of energy, called out to each other in concern. The yellow-robed girl exclaimed that Chu had suppressed the twins. Wu Hongying asked what it was. The main character, standing with a grin, was surrounded by dark purple lotuses. Someone said about the golden aura and the image of the purple lotus. The man asked if he owned an ancient holy body. He asked how such a thing could be achieved. Chu stood surrounded by dark and thick purple energy, opposite Long Qingfeng and his sister, surrounded by a blue barrier. Long Qingfeng began to bang on the drum, surrounded by an orange aura, and shouted to his sister to hurry up, because the sheepskin drum could only resist temporarily. His sister, holding her hands to her chest, said that she could not leave. The main character said with an evil grin that no one can leave. Clenching his fist, he charged, surrounded by red energy. He thought that Long Qingfeng would be difficult to deal with and decided to start with his sister. Long Qingfeng shouted at her to quickly run away. Chu ran past him and approached her. Raising his fist, he said, "Emperor Fist, the punch that breaks through all spells, full power." The girl fell back from the punch and blood gushed from her face. Long Qingfeng, his red eyes bulging, loudly called out to his sister. He shouted to the main character to fight him. Chu suddenly kicked him in the stomach. Blood gushed from the guy's mouth and he turned pale. The kick threw him far to the side. The bald guy exclaimed that Chu is very strong. Another guy asked if the twins were even strong. He said that if they decided to oppose their sacred son, they would be destroyed. Yifan said that Chu's punch is very strong. He asked why his chest hurt so much, as if he had lost something very important. The man asked Kai Meng Dai why she allows her disciple to do whatever he wants if she is so righteous. She said that his disciples kept saying that they wanted to kill Chu. She asked why he was unhappy if he only destroyed their cultivation. Tao Yao asked him if he was being too overbearing. She asked why he would bully them for being cruel. The girl, appearing behind the man, told him with a smile that his 2 disciples were very talented, and their cultivation had been destroyed, but if they worked a little, they could restore more than half. Kai Meng Dai told him, if he had nothing more to say, to sit back and continue watching the ceremony. The man turned around, frowning. The girl told Tao Yao with a smile that Chu is incredible and strong men really like him. Tao Yao told her not to disturb her and stop trying to play tricks on her Chu. The girl said that an outstanding and strong man like him is destined to have many women. Smiling slyly, she said, for example, me. Kai Meng Dai thought, when did this terrible disciple get so many fans? Raising 2 fingers irritably, Tao Yao asked Chu Zioran what she was talking about and whether she wanted to die. Kai Meng Dai told her to take care of herself. Tao Yao stopped, lowering her hand. Kai Meng Dai, angrily trampling on the doll, thought that he had brought these problems upon himself, and he still needed his master to solve them. On the heavenly staircase, the main character, scratching his nose, asked who was scolding him. Smirking, he decided to continue and wondered who he should fight next. The system, grinning, said that, as an old demon, he should drink divine blood. It suggested killing that blockhead from Jiang family first because it has a divine constitution. Shu thought that it depended on whether he wanted to fight him. Jiang Zhu turned around nervously. Exhaling, he waved his hand. He thought that this man was too dangerous and he could not fight him without absolute certainty of victory. The protagonist thought that it seemed like Jiang Zhu didn't want to fight him. He thought that people were watching from the bottom of the stairs, so he couldn't be picky. Shui noticed his gaze on him. Turning around, he smiled awkwardly, bowed, and telepathically told him that he was not his opponent. He asked to be released. The main character answered him with a smile that he had misunderstood him, and he had never been a fan of violence, preferring peace. Shui said that Chu is really a kind person and he is ashamed of himself. Rubbing his chin, Chu thought that among these 5 casual-looking Zhui is the strongest, followed by the Jiang family's divine constitution. He thought that both of them were difficult opponents, so he didn't mind if they didn't want to fight him, and the most important thing for him right now was to climb heaven's staircase. Noticing something, Tai Suzai looked to the side. She said that there was a guest in the castle of the Sacred Sun. A huge monster was visible among the mountains. She asked Golden Ape why he came here without an invitation. Golden Ape grinned and said that she was, as always, extremely observant. Tai Suzai asked if he, being the monster lord of Tianyao realm, was afraid that he would not be able to get out by entering human territories. Golden Ape said that, of course, no, because he still dared to come here. He said that she had put a lot of effort into planning this ceremony for the sacred sun, and he did not believe that she had no selfish motives. Tai Suzai asked what this had to do with them, the monsters. Golden Ape suggested a bet with a grin. He said that he would send his youngster to climb heaven's staircase, and if he defeated their sacred son, she should tell him her true goal, and if the opposite happened, she could offer her terms. Tai Suzai said, godly Bodhi flower, sacred monk fruit, and another heavenly treasure. Tai Mengdai thought that these treasures were what her terrible disciple needed. Golden Ape said she has a big appetite. He told the Butterfly Empress to go and beat the holy sun up. He said he would treat her to a feast of sacred beasts for 3 nights and days. Butterfly Empress, a woman with butterfly wings and red hair, agreed with a smile. The main character, stretching his shoulders, thought that after 3,000 steps, he could clearly feel the pressure of the heavenly ladder. Closing his eyes, he thought what if he climbed the 99 steps and used the system to make his way through his primordial sacred constitution. The system, laughing evilly, said that it did not advise him to take such a big risk because he would die. Chu agreed. Butterly Empress appeared above the sky ladder with a hammer in her hand. She asked who Tai Su's holy son is here. Zhuyi told the protagonist that it seemed like she had come for him. Looking at her beautiful body, he asked if he had done anything to her. He was lost in his fantasies, and the main character looked at him, frowning in confusion. Chu suddenly jumped forward, shrouded in red energy, and Zhuyi told him to be careful not to hurt the innocent. Swinging a huge hammer, Butterfly Empress said that she would defeat him and return to the feast. She hit the ground with her hammer, breaking the stones, and the main character jumped to the side. Clenching his teeth tightly, he exclaimed that she had a very strong body. He thought that he knew her, and she was the Butterfly Empress of the Tianyao realm. He thought that, according to rumors, her father is a barbarian lord, and her mother is a butterfly lord. Chu thought that she was born extraordinary, combining the Tianyao divine barbarian constitution as well as unparalleled strength and invincible flesh. Additionally, she feels no pain in combat. He blocked her kick with his hand and thought that this was a supreme class character in her generation. The main character grabbed her leg with a hand shrouded in purple energy. Swinging his hand, he hit the ground with force. Butterfly Empress said with a grin that the primordial sacred constitution does not disappoint. She shouted, "Shadow." Many of her red clones surrounded the protagonist, and he asked if she wanted to trap him with illusions. He told her that she was too young for this. Rushing forward, Chu suddenly saw a woman in front of him. He slammed his face into her, and Butterfly Empress was embarrassed in surprise. She angrily asked how dare he humiliate her. The main character apologized and said that he was running too fast and couldn't stop. Butterfly Empress hit him hard on the cheek with her palm and shouted that he did it on purpose. Chu fell to the ground, surrounded by copies of Butterfly Empress. Landing face upright between her legs, he watched the sight before him while bleeding from his nose. Butterfly Empress angrily slammed her hammer on the ground, and the protagonist dodged it by rolling to the side.